How you liking it so far?
Prove your driving.
Dennis always ready.
How you liking it so far? It's a paycheck. I've been in your shoes. Yeah, for the city of Greenfield. Not so much this part of his shoes, but the enforcement part of his shoes.
Recordings on. All right, good evening. Call the meeting to order, the September 25th meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals. We have all members present this evening, so all five, and our attorney. Some order of business here. We ask that you please turn off your cell phones and any electronic devices or annoying noisemakers that you may be carrying around in your pockets. Our first order of business will be the adoption of last month's meeting minutes that were submitted electronically.
I make a motion we adopt those minutes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adopt the meeting minutes as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I liked the format, Dennis, by the way, of the meeting minutes. Easy to read. So thank you for that. All right, I'd like to advise everybody that your testimony this evening is being recorded and be taken under oath. We request that anyone speaking do so only when called upon. We would request that anyone wishing to speak be sworn in by our attorney to my left. When you come up to speak, you can raise your right hand and be sworn in. All persons speaking will be asked to give their full name for the record, spell their last name so that we have accurate meeting minutes. Please speak directly into the microphone so that we can pick everything up for our digital recordings. Kayla or Maria, either one, will be giving a staff report for each case, and then the petitioners are then given, I might be reading from the wrong document here. I guess that's right, sorry. This is the right document, thanks. Okay, start again. For those speaking, the petitioner will be given 7 minutes to give their presentation. That is followed then by a collective 7 minutes for the remonstrators to speak. We offer government officials wishing to speak 3 minutes to address any of their potential issues, and then the petitioner is given a final 3 minutes for rebuttal. You'll be given a 2-minute and a 1-minute warning as your time is expiring. We would like to ask that everybody conduct themselves in a civil manner, and if you can't or won't do that, we reserve the right to ask you to leave. Based on a current change in the state statute, you'll need to be notified that this meeting is being recorded and streamed for public viewing, and by participating, you acknowledge that your image, voice, and comments may be captured and made publicly available. This meeting has been properly noticed in accordance with Indiana Code 514. 1.5. Thank you. And with that, we will have our item number 1, Mr. Breeze with a special exception for a home occupation.
So the first item on the agenda is Brandon Breeze petition. This is located at 2541 South Sunrise Drive in Buck Creek Township, in a residential 2.5 zoning district. The petitioner, Brandon Breeze, is requesting a special exception to allow a home occupation along with 2 variances under our home occupation standard. One is to permit the home occupation to take place outside of the residence, and the second variance is to allow outdoor storage. The petitioner provided a site plan that is also located in your folder. In the site plan, it shows a 24 by 36 detached garage along with 2 mini barns. These were all pre-existing prior to the purchasing of the property of the current property owner. During the pre-filing meeting, it was discussed with the petitioner that there will be no additional expansions of the home occupation, and all business activities will be conducted in all the existing detached structures. And this will require a variance, since in our home occupation standards, a home occupation must be located within the primary structure. So due to the fact that these existing barns and detached garage is where the home occupation will take place in, that's why that is the first variance. The home occupation is a lawn care business. The petitioner will utilize a pickup truck, 3 trailers, 2 lawn mowers, a weed eater, and other small yard maintenance tools. Because some of these materials will be displayed outside, this requires a additional variance. So this petition first was a violation. The Hancock County Planning Department on June 17, 2025 received a complaint regarding the subject property, in which the zoning inspector went to verify the following day on the 18th and took some pictures displayed below. And on June 23rd, a letter of zoning violation was sent out to the property owners, Brian and Terry Breeze. Then in August 27, 2025, Brian and Brandon Breeze came in for a pre-filing meeting to discuss what all would be required in order to bring their property into compliance. The planning staff determined that the property would need a special exception and 2 variances from the home occupation standards. In our home occupation standards, it states that all home occupation may be permitted subject to the Board of Zoning of Appeals approval of a special exception. And in those standards, it also states how outdoor storage or display shall, there shall not be any exterior storage of products, equipment, materials, and anything related to the home occupation. Since the petitioner has stated that their trailers would be parked outside of these structures, that's why the variance is required for that. And as I stated before, that the home occupation would take place into these detached structures. And in our standards, it states how this shall be located in the dwelling unit. So that's why the second variance is necessary. After reviewing the scope of work for the home occupation, we determined that there's no other concerns or unmet standards identified. There was the conversation about lot coverage, and we did the calculation for the property, and in our standards, the allowable percentage of lot coverage is 35. They currently sit at 22%. Please note that the gravel is not included in the lot calculation. In our standards, it's included impervious surface. Gravel is not considered as an impervious surface. Therefore, that gravel does not count into that calculation. The petitioner has stated that there will be no employees besides just him. And in our land use matrix, as you can see, any zoning district, a home occupation does require a special exception. Therefore, they are here tonight requesting that. We did receive 1 letter of remonstrance that is located in your packet. We did also receive a letter of support. However, that is not in your packet because it did not meet the deadline of submittal.
I do have a question for you.
Yep.
So you said there was a letter, an enforcement letter sent out, correct?
I'm sorry. Oh, about a zoning violation letter?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did they respond proactively,
So
or did it take more than one communication?
just one letter was sent out.
So they contacted you promptly? Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? All right, we'll have the petitioner come up.
Are you done?
No, I was going to give my recommendation.
Okay.
I thought you were done since you were asking questions.
I interrupted her. That's my fault. I apologize.
No, you're good. So the recommendation staff is giving, since there are three different requests. The first one is for the special exception to allow the home occupation. Staff is recommending approval with the conditions. The petitioner shall seek and obtain an IOP permit and shall be renewing that each year. And that the BZA reserves the right to revoke or modify the special exception if it determines to be a public nuisance. Then the recommendation for the home occupation to have outdoor storage. Staff is recommending approval with the condition that the outdoor storage of materials relating to the home occupation be contained in the back end of the property where the detached structures are located. And it shall be maintained at all times in a neat and orderly manner. The other condition is the petitioner shall install appropriate screening, whether that be a privacy fence or a gate, to effectively conceal the outdoor storage from public view. And the last recommendation for having the home occupation be located outside the primary dwelling unit. Staff is recommending approval with the condition that the home occupation shall not expand without the approval of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Are there any other questions?
You look like you got a question. Nope.
Do we have a square footage, since we're exceeding 500 square feet, do we have a current square footage?
It would be the square footage of the detached buildings, which are displayed on the site plan. But as a total, we would have to calculate it.
That's what I'm wondering, is what that total is.
It's the 20, is it the 24 by 30? We can ask them, 24 by 36, I think.
So typically in a home occupation special exception, we've also seen a few other requirements. One, limitation on the number of clients that may visit the site. Did we take a look at that, or did you consider that?
Since the petitioner has stated that they wouldn't have any clients on site or any employees, we didn't feel like we needed to put that condition.
Got it. And we also have a provision that the special exception becomes null and void if operations cease for 12 months.
We did talk about that, and we just didn't put it on there. But you guys are more than welcome to put that on there.
Got it. And because this is a landscaping, our esteemed former member of the BZ always reminds us that we should talk about burning on site. Is there a preclusion from this from that we ever look at?
As of right now, the petitioner hasn't said that they would have burning on site.
Great, thank you.
All right,
If there are no more questions, I'll hand it off to the petitioner.
thank you. We have somebody, is the petitioner here? All right, come on up.
Raise your right hand. Swear you in. Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please state your names and then spell your last name.
Brian Lee Breeze, B-R-E-E-S.
Brandon Lee Breeze, B-R-E-E-S.
7 minutes, and I'll let you know.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing us to come in and present our request. This is my son, Brandon. He started working with a guy in our old neighborhood at 14, helping on landscaping, and he just kind of developed into where he really liked that work, and he continued to work with Tom through high school. It's ironic that Gooden's on the meeting tonight or agenda tonight because they came into school and gave a presentation, I believe it was his junior year, and he came home and just wouldn't stop talking about it, like, Dad, that's what I want to do, that's what I want to do. So with that said, he just turned 19 in April. He's a unique kid. He's a hard worker. He would get up with Tom, be out the door and on the road at 7. They wouldn't get home till 6 or, dark a lot of times. And he's maintained that work ethic. With us, we lived in the Havens. It had an HOA. We had 3 trailers there that we parked in the back. The HOA gave us a couple of letters, and it was when his equipment had parked out front for just a brief moment. We always tried to keep it in back. And then this is really before he was in the business to be, in the business per se, but our home was visible from 100 South. So that's where I'm going to plead. Some of my ignorance was we had an HOA that was very critical on, no boats, no nothing, and they prohibited even commercial vehicles with lettering. When we moved into this neighborhood, it's platted in 79. Our home was built in 86. There's a lot of different things, motor home or travel trailers, some boats, different things through there. There's even a residence that has gravel around back like we did. So with it not having an HOA and being built in 79, I just didn't think the covenants would, we put a gravel drive back. We didn't add any buildings. We didn't add any square footage. It's just my son. We had a conversation. We moved there in December. We had a conversation with him in March. I told him, you should go work for Tom again this year. You're 19. Let's get another year under your belt. And he kept saying, Dad, I want to go on my own. And I said, okay. He had a few counts. And then he talked to a guy, was it Trent?
Trent Kirchner.
Trent Kirchner was wanting to sell his business, and he offered Brandon to buy it over a percentage every month he pays him. And Brandon came to me and said, Dad, I want to do this. Brandon's fully insured. He pays over $600 a month for all of his equipment, his vehicles. He pays me for his truck payment. So he pays over $1,000 a month on his own for that. He's paid for all the filing for this. We were just trying to help him get started. And with the variance, because it's a lawn care business, he's gone really from the addition, gets up early and comes back. He may come home for lunch. I know in the remonstrance he was in there all the time. Ironically, in our section, there's 22 homes. He's done work for 11 of them. He still maintains some of the homes for that are clients where, he's done mulch work, gravel work, whatever, but he mows 3 properties right down the street. And so if it wasn't his vehicle, you're going to see another company vehicle there. There are other homeowners that have mowing companies that come in as well. So, ironically, also the other thing that's funny is it's called Sunrise Drive. I told my wife, well, I'm going to see if he rises or fails. But I wanted to give him the opportunity to go out on his own because of his dedication and he has a lot of pride in his work. So we had a neighbor that they said that our backyard was visible and they didn't want to see the equipment. The neighbors behind us, Rob and Karen Walke, have put up a fence to where really now everybody has a fence. And other than just down the drive, I've taken pictures to where I don't see how there's any visibility of his equipment right now other than down the drive. We had a gate that we were going to put up and put a cover on it to block that, but we stopped everything when we got the notice. I think, sir, you had asked about the response time. We got the notice. It was sent out the 23rd. I called and talked to Darla Smoke at the time, and she told me I got the complaint. We talked about it, and she said, but I'm retiring in 2 weeks. I called back and found out that Don Parker was who handled it, so we were proactive on getting the information. Because it takes 10 days to file, we have to send notices in the paper and notices out. It just ended up that we were in August, and we made the deadline, but there was a lot of work to put together. This is the first variance I've applied for.
2 minutes.
And I brought him along through the whole process, so he's been there through it as well. We've done nothing but try to be proactive. So I hate to hear that we have neighbors that are unhappy because we've came in with nothing but the intent. Our house had weeds grown over it. An older lady lived there and went into an assisted living. And we've redone everything, and actually Brandon has, but all brand new landscaping. We've done everything in that home we can. We're getting ready to paint the outside. So we're trying to improve property values. Brandon, with helping 11 out of the 22, has also improved the neighborhood in terms of his work. He has all kinds of crazy cross cuts that everybody does. Tom mows, his old boss mows a yard in our neighborhood, and he keeps teasing Brandon like, I see your stripes, boy. So just in a complimentive way. So we're here, whether you approve it or deny it, we're going to respectfully
1 minute.
take whatever decision. Is that time, you say?
Nope, 1 minute.
Okay, we're here to take whatever decision comes forth from the board, and we'll be, we'll go our own way. But again, he's 19, he works really hard, his equipment's always clean, he's paid for everything. I've helped him with, seed money and starting him out, but he always pays me back. Before he really pays himself, he pays his equipment and pays his obligations. So this means a lot to us. We did look at, Doug Hare had a property on 40. He wanted $1,300 a month. And with him starting out, we just couldn't afford that. So before we went to our house and tried it there, and the buildings were all there. So we just thought we weren't, other than parking behind there, we were trying to keep him out of our drive. So to make the neighborhood look good. So that's where we're coming from on this.
Okay. Questions?
I have one. Is the eventual plan for the business to move off the property?
Yeah, I mean, I'm realistic. He's 19 again, so, and with his account, he's getting more referral work. So if it comes about where it gets bigger, we would definitely move it. But just starting out, the money for him to go rent and have everything like that, it just wasn't feasible.
Is there any burning that will occur on site?
Any what?
Any burning of material?
No, ma'am, I heard that question. The only thing I got to disclose is we do have a fire pit, just for our family, but it's 36-inch diameter, that we do have occasional fire in it, but there's multiple people with fire pits. But no commercial use.
Does any landscape debris come home?
No, we don't have any, I won't allow it.
No cuttings, no leaves, no branches, mulch?
He has a dump trailer. If he works late and he can't get to the dump, it may sit in the trailer overnight, but we never dump it on our property. It would never leave the trailer other than, just to take it to the dump the next morning. We're right off of 700 and 800, and Mount Comfort Transfer there has that green cycle. That is where he takes it, so it's just a couple miles away.
Were you okay with all the various conditions that Maria spoke about?
Yeah, Maria and they've all been, everybody's been very helpful there. We had our pre-plan meeting, and it's been a little bit of a learning curve for us. We want to comply, so, they've been very helpful for explaining all the things that we need to do and comply with.
Would you be against us adding a few conditions, such as no clients or employees
That's not a
may
problem at all.
access?
The only thing I got to say, some of Brandon's clients and our neighbors, I can't say, well, you can't come over if they want to come watch the Colts.
No, this is,
For
yeah,
commercial purposes.
yeah.
Business related,
Yeah, I mean, as far as business-related situations
Yeah.
go, I mean, when we run into a lot of these, that's one of the biggest issues that comes up is clientele coming to the place of residence for
Don't want
business
it.
purposes.
I don't want it. And everything he does is off-site. It's all off-site, so.
And we would say perhaps that it would be null and void if it was not operational for 12 months?
He does have a layoff period, and that was in the forms that I filed where it's seasonal. So he worked at Novelty last year, did a great job there, got certified on a forklift in 5 days. So he's just a hardworking kid. As soon as he can get out, he goes. And so I'm saying it'll be probably February, March, weather depending, through November, December, weather permitting.
In a
would be-
12-month period would account for the seasonality.
Yeah.
And you would install a gate to continue the screening?
We have one. He had one to put up, but like I said, once we got this, you can see it in the photo against the wall where we were going to put it up, and then it'll have a cover on it.
And then I'm just going to ask you a question that came in from our letter of remonstrance. What is your opinion about the impact of adjacent property values with
I
this
think
business?
if you were to drive by our house today and see it, like the side of that wall is completely clean. Around the back, there's nothing on the back. Like we put, Brandon bought them. He put up lights, they're solar lights that accent lighting. And like I said, he takes a lot of pride in his work. If you drive through our neighborhood, and I'm not trying to knock anybody in our neighborhood. I love our neighborhood, but there's a lot of campers and things like that sit out in their drive. If you drive by our house, you see my truck, my wife's car, and that's it. You may see his truck in the drive, but if he's home for lunch, you may see his truck and trailer for lunchtime, or again, you may see it at some of the people that he works for in the neighborhood. But I feel like our house has risen up. And again, we have friends and neighbors that are here that are here to support Brandon, and you're welcome to ask them as well.
The last thing I have is more of a procedural question. The application is from Brandon, but Brian, it's your property, you own it, and you've been testifying today. So any procedural issues with this an applicant versus I believe you testifying gives us an indication of consent for use of the property for these purposes. But sometimes we just ask the question.
The question is whether, because the applicant is Brandon and.
The owner is Brian.
Yeah. So the special exception would be granted on has to be really but for Brian, even though it's Brandon's business. The property is.
The variance would be with the property, right?
Yeah, the variance would have to be with the property
special
owner.
exception would be with the person, I think is her question, right?
Okay, yeah.
So,
Yes, I think special exception should be with Brandon. The variances would have to be Brian, but
The variances would only run so long as the special exception is active?
yes, and I would recommend that be included.
One thing I would think as well, and we can discuss this after the remonstration, if they're here, or any remonstration or county officials. I see the gate, and it's a typical farm-style gate. I'm not opposed to it fully, but I would think it would be, something better would be something opaque.
Sure.
Not, that way we're not able to see through it. Would that be, if we were to put that as a condition, would you be opposed to that?
It's no problem.
Okay.
Speaking also about the fence, you said that one or two sections belong to your neighbors of the
Well,
privacy fence?
Our backyard, the neighbor to the west, the neighbor to the east, they all have fencing.
Yeah,
And then the neighbors behind us have wood fencing. So really our neighbors directly behind us have a chain link fence, which we can see them. That's my wife's sister and brother-in-law that live there. So but they do have a wood fence that when you come in around the other way, you can't see it. They just put that up, and that's where one of the complaints come from. The original complaint was the neighbor there, but you really can't see the yard at all now. What you see in the pictures are not anything like it is now. There's really no visibility of our backyard.
I guess what I was wondering about was making sure that we maintain that screening. So if your neighbor removed the fence, have a condition that you would install one on your side or something to
Sure.
maintain that screening.
I honestly don't think Brandon's 19, and as hard as he works, I see him moving beyond in the next year or two. So I don't think this is going to be ongoing, in all honesty. But if it is 2 or 3 years, we'll maintain it. And if that ever happens, we'd definitely.
Okay.
I'm saying, I was thinking that condition, if the business is still active at the property, is when that condition would apply.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I mean, just putting a condition on, if the business goes out and they've got a condition of not putting a fence up, that's kind of an issue in the future potentially.
yeah.
Put that condition on the special exception.
Yeah.
So the special exceptions for a home occupation, I'm sure the staff told you that the whole goal is to maintain the residential character of the neighborhood and everything. And one of those things that we ask sometimes is to just, we're piling on the commitments, but no signage in the yard or anything. Sometimes we'll find people that'll stick a little yard sign. It's like, so.
I don't want
okay.
that either.
Okay.
We have pride in ownership by far. Our last house, Brandon did the landscaping, and we got compliments on it all the time. And the only question I have would be if say he sold out. He's had other job offers from other companies like excavating and stuff already. If he were to sell out, if we keep the trailers for personal, we wouldn't have a business, but are we going to have a problem with that?
I'm not up on all those requirements, but I think our staff all left us. But typically, it has to be registered, licensed, has to be parked on a driveway, which I guess you have that.
Behind the property.
Yeah, or behind the house or something. It's basically the things that you're essentially doing now, I think. So I
I
think
just don't want to have that happen if something happens where he does go another direction. But right now, his full intent is to stay this route. But I'm sure in the next couple of years, he's going to have a bigger
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yep. Okay. Any more questions? Nope. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Do we have anybody here this evening that would like to speak in opposition to the special exception or variances? Going once? Nope, none. Okay. Any government officials here that would like to speak in relation to this case? No. All right, discussion.
I think I made most of my stuff
I did as well.
known. Do you have all the conditions written down the way you like them?
I do.
Okay,
You to relate them?
please.
Okay.
Just as a reminder,
Ready for a motion?
we've talked about several things.
The things that I have are no clients or employees for commercial purposes, no commercial burning. Be null and void if the business ceases to operate for 12 consecutive months or longer. And we've installed an opaque gate and maintain opaque fencing around the perimeter, either through neighbors or the property owner. On the variance, we would acknowledge that the petitioner and the homeowner acknowledge that it runs with the property, and the variance run so long as the special exception is active.
Do we need to just, on that opaque fencing around the property, if another fence comes down, the only thing I think we need to add is if the business is still active. Because if the business isn't active, then there's no point because.
Got it.
Second.
Oh, was that a motion?
You want me to make it official?
Is that
Get it?
what you were doing?
You got it? You got it.
He got it. So
Dennis,
yes, it was
well done.
official.
Okay.
I have a question. Were you going to include staff recommendations as well?
Oh, yes, staff.
Okay.
Staff.
And then you didn't have anything on variance number 2, did you?
The same notes would apply from variants 1 and 2 with regard to acknowledgement of the petitioner and the homeowner that it runs with the property and is run so long as a special exception is active.
Second. And also staff recommendations as well?
Throughout.
Your second's still good.
My
Okay.
second's still good.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that should the special exception for the home occupation be granted, it be subject to the stated conditions. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And if we can locate our ballots, we can vote.
Usually on top. They're usually on top.
I didn't see them.
All of them.
Yeah, we're voting on all of them, right? Did you? Okay.
Okay, in case number 25-2621, the special exception to allow a home occupation is granted, a vote of 5-0. Case number 25-2621, for the variance to allow a home occupation business outside the home, the variance is granted, a vote of 5-0. And finally, in case number 252621, variance number 2, to exceed the 500 square feet max business area, the variance is granted, a vote of 5-0.
You're all set. Yep. Yep.
It's half our audience. It's half our audience.
Holy cow. Are the rooms vacant now?
They gone.
Yeah.
Fight against that.
It was Jim. It's like,
Guilty conscience.
I have a guilty conscience.
I was not an easy child, right?
But oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
took 3 hours a night for it.
It is. Okay.
We are ready for item number 2, good and ground maintenance.
Good and Ground Maintenance is located at 3859 and 3863 West US 40 in Sugar Creek Township. This is on the south side of US 40 near the intersection with County Road 400 West. Zoning is currently commercial neighborhood, which does not allow for contractors' warehouse and storage yard. However, Good and Ground Maintenance is also a rezone to commercial community, which allows for contractors' warehouse and storage yard as a special exception use. This is a legal non-conforming use and site. However, because Gooden is looking at adding an office building in the lawn area in the northwest corner of this site, they need to come into compliance with our zoning ordinance. So that requires, before they can get a building permit to build their new office building, that they come here and to the Plan Commission and Board of Commissioners to first get their property rezoned to a district that allows for their use, and then to receive the special exception in order to operate on the property once properly zoned. Then they may apply for a building permit to build their new office building. Okay, there are some site plans included as part of this staff report. So you can see where that proposed office is located. Yeah. The total site area is just over 8 acres. Floor plan of the building they wish to build, which would need to comply with the corridor overlay standards since this is on US 40, a designated corridor. Okay, and definitions. Contractor's storage yard is an unenclosed portion of a lot parcel upon which construction contractor stores construction equipment and other materials customarily used in the trade carried on by the contractor. And in our zoning ordinance, we really have no way to separate out, say, construction contractors from landscaping contractors. Contractors are contractors if they drive a vehicle to a client's site and do their business there, but they have to have a home base like this. Contractor's warehouse is an enclosed building within which a construction contractor or a landscape contractor stores construction equipment and other materials customarily used in the trade. Office space as an accessory use may be permitted with a contractor's warehouse. So these are the use types that we are seeing Gooden pursuing on this site and now wanting to expand upon. If we look at that special exception decision criteria, we see that in approving special exceptions, the BZA can attach conditions that make a use more or less acceptable to the neighborhood in which it is located. So, when considering a special exception, the BZA may consider the following as they relate to the proposed use: topography and other natural site features, zoning of the site and surrounding properties, driveway locations, street access, vehicular and pedestrian traffic, parking, including the amount, locations, and design, landscaping, screening and buffering, open space and other site amenities, noise production and hours of any business operation, design, placement, architecture, and building material of the structure, placement, design, intensity, height, and shielding of lights, traffic generation, general site layout as it relates to the surroundings, and any other criteria deemed relevant by the board. The board may impose such reasonable conditions upon its approval as it deems necessary to find that the criteria up for approval in Division D have been satisfied. All right, and our staff recommendation this evening is approval with the condition that a building permit and or improvement location permit relating to the special exception must be obtained in 12 months, within 12 months of the above approval date, and an occupancy permit must be obtained within 12 months of the approval of the permit, or the special exception automatically expires. This, of course, is also in contingent upon the Board of Commissioners approving the zoning change to commercial community. One thing which was passed or given a favorable recommendation on Tuesday evening with 2 conditions. First, that the petitioner work with staff and/or the BZA on any screening of the Pennsy Trail, which is located due behind this property. Currently, Mr. Gooden has a chain link fence with a barbed wire top for security purposes along that south edge of the property. He also keeps his portion of the Pennsy well maintained. So it's an existing fence that's there today. Typically, in a situation like this, we would say it's a legal non-conforming site. As changes occur, we will bring this into conformance with our code. In speaking with Mr. Gooden's attorney today, Eric Glasgow, who's here this evening, there is a 7.5-foot grade change and a lot of railroad bed rockiness between that fence and the trail. And he says that the trail is at such a height that you're more or less looking over the fence. So planting anything between the fence and the trail is at this point a difficult task. The other condition that was looked at by the Plan Commission was in reference to open burning. Currently, there is a large section of the site that is more or less lawn, and Mr. Gooden does currently occasionally burn nursery stock on that particular lot when needed, things he brings from his site to this location. For those type of situations, typically my department looks strictly at what are the laws in place that deal with this. Here, since it is a special exception, I suppose we defer to state law, I believe, which I'll let Rhonda talk more about. Mr. Glasgow did bring up some state law that might carve out our dealing with this at a local level as maybe not the right path to go. So anyway, those are my staff recommendation, like I said, is approval with that one condition that they basically move forward with, they're already moving forward with what they're planning to do, to be honest. So the use is already there. Go ahead, Lacey, I can see you've got questions.
Is the special exception overview for the Planning Commission or the BZA saw? It was in my packet. I think a couple pages earlier.
Special exception would be BZA. What is your packet saying?
Plan Commission, but maybe I'm just not reading far enough. If you keep going up. There we go. So this is for the,
Just mention of it's going to it was going to plan for the rezone.
okay. So that was just a procedural note, not a,
Point of clarification from me. You were talking about the expiration of the special exception 1 year after today, that they need to have their building permit. Then I want to make sure that you're clarifying that they have to have the certificate of occupancy 1 year after the issuance of the building permit.
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I misheard that or what, so that's why I just wanted a point of clarification. Thank you.
what are the screening requirements from this new zoning to the adjacent zoning that we're concerned?
So the landscape standards currently state that a buffer yard type 1 would be required between commercial and commercial, and that adds a 5-foot buffer lawn, which is pretty minimal, and 2 shade or evergreen trees per 100 lineal feet.
And that's what the response was, that they couldn't comply with that because of the...
Our ordinance also states that the point of this buffer yard is typically to soften the area between uses, and if there is a fence, that this should go on the outside of the fence, not inside it. And given that the fence is located in such a way where immediately after it kind of goes up to the trail bed, that the response was, at this time, a buffer isn't particularly maybe the best way to go.
Is the fence on the property line then?
It is inside Mr. Gooden's property enough that he can maintain around the outside.
But not so much as to be out of the right of, I shouldn't say right of way, it's private now, the trail property where.
I know that Philip Going did a survey of the property. Let's see. I could probably let the petitioner better answer these questions.
Which is fine. The old railroad right-of-way is typically buried depending on the area.
But the buffer yard doesn't have to, it's not restricted as to necessarily where it has to be, right? I mean, it has to just be inside of that setback line?
Typically, it goes between the property line and where we start counting the building setback line.
Yeah. I guess I understand the hardship with that, but for them to not have to do the type 1, we would need a variance from the landscape buffer as well, right? Otherwise, they just kind of have to do it by.
Would you be amenable to maybe the buffer planting going inside the fence?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, is if there was just some place that they could. I didn't calculate out how many trees that amounted to, but. And they're not going to do, like you said, they're not going to do any screening by any means, but they would do some softening along the trail there.
I believe that would be 16 trees.
Okay.
Does the buffer yard, that requirement specify what kind of trees?
It says 2 shade or evergreen trees per 100 linear feet.
And we don't discuss height of the trees?
There is a certain standard for how tall and the caliper that those trees are at the time of planting. I feel like it might be a 2-inch caliper and 12 feet tall.
Okay.
Am I wrong? Might be wrong.
Yeah.
And I believe that's just for shade trees, not for coniferous.
Because the issue is with these old railroad embankments, thankfully, we're in a relatively flat area. I mean, but sometimes some of these railroad embankments are 30, 40 feet. And if you get in a hilly area, who knows what that embankment's going to be. So sometimes it becomes almost a moot point. That's why I was asking if that was the case, because we do want to meet try to meet the buffer yard requirements, but also at a certain point in time, if that railroad embankment's so tall, not a whole lot you can do.
Well, we can chat with them about it when they come up and see what they want to do, because they're obviously amicable to doing something.
Yeah, that's kind of why I brought that up. It's just trying to preserve both sides. What kind of thing can we come up with?
Yeah.
Typically, we as staff deal, especially with existing uses like this,
Yeah.
simply deal with issues as they arise or focus on the area that's changing. So we'll give a very good hard look at the area where the office building is going and landscaping around it, of course.
Yeah.
But we would typically leave, say, the rear of a property kind of for future.
Yeah. I just was getting a little concerned, as I know we left the plan commission meeting where we mentioned that we would have them either discuss the landscaping with the BZA or try to work something out with the staff, but I was afraid that we probably really couldn't do that without a variance from the actual zoning requirement that the landscape ordinance would require something there. So.
And that sort of depends on your interpretation of when we're dealing with this. Is that when they change things at that location, or is it right now because we are legalizing an existing non-conforming use and that's kind of up to you guys, but that's where I think day to day, I would say focus on the new, let the old be. But I know it was mentioned at the Plan Commission, and I certainly would not want to get in the way of them getting their rezoning.
Would also be impacted by the commissioner's hearing. That was a really important matter. So I
Yes.
think that the meeting the requirements of the adjacent zoning was the minimum standard, or as otherwise required at a higher standard by the BZA or staff or through the commissioners.
Yeah, I mean, the rezoning was for the whole thing, right? The whole 8 acres, so changing the zoning, I think that's what caught their attention, the commissioner's attention, I think, so. All right, any other questions? All right. None, we'll have the petitioner come up, Mr. Glasgow.
Or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your name, spell your last name.
Eric Glasgow, Glasco, with Stevenson Rife, here on behalf of Good and Ground Maintenance.
7 minutes.
I'm going to start by just saying I'm shocked that students actually listen to the people that present at school. I'm doing that tomorrow, and I may have to rework what I'm going to say. Yeah, so I'm here on behalf of Good and Ground. I'll just kind of give a brief overview because I know you guys have read it, you understand it. We're here because they want to put in an office building. Right now, their offices are located in a residence, a ranch-style house built in the 60s that's more conducive for a home, not for conferences and running a business. So they're looking to build a nice office space on that northwest portion of the property to relocate the office to there. And applying for the building permit or getting, actually before they even applied, talking to the county about that, they were discovered to be a prior nonconforming use, a legal nonconforming use, and the county requested that they get their zoning appropriate and get a special exception use for the outdoor storage of the contractor equipment. And that's kind of what's prompted this, is trying to kind of clean up some of the zoning stuff before they get the building permit. To be clear, the back outdoor storage is not going to change from where it is today, other than fluctuations of the business itself. Obviously, the Pennsy Trail became a big matter of concern at the city council or the Plan Commission, as I'm sure we're going to discuss that as well. So at that point, I'll turn it over to you with what I'm sure are questions.
Did you discuss this landscaping thing anymore? That came up
We did,
Tuesday?
and Dave went out, walked the trail. It's in. It was frustrating for him because he's the only one actually maintaining the property on the trail.
Understood,
And then he
yeah.
comes in, and there was screening there, and it was ripped out when they put the trail in. They ripped out, it was all invasive species anyway, and that's typically what's up and down. And as he was there, he laser leveled it, and as Kayla expressed, there's about a 7.5 foot grade difference. So if you're standing up at 5 feet, you're closer to 12, right? So you're looking down, which makes opaque fence or some kind of screening like that not efficient. And then we start looking at trees. And I don't know if there's any other additional work being done on Pennsy Trail with regard to landscaping along it, and if they're planning to come in and remove the rock bed that was underneath the railroad ties or the railroad bed. It's about 2.5 to 3 feet deep of crushed gravel and stone, so you're not growing anything on it. And that runs pretty close to the fence where the fence is for Good and Ground. I don't know the exact distance there. So in order, even while the planting of trees themselves in that area would be expensive, when you start trying to price in all the removal of that stone and then bringing in dirt to actually be able to grow stuff, that just explodes the cost with that. When we start looking at possibly doing landscaping on the inside, that is part of the operations, and now we're losing operational space. And one issue becomes, when you're talking about trees, we want something that's not just doing it to do it. We want something that's effective. We don't want a tree that's going to grow to be 6 feet. We need something that's going to grow to be 20, 30 feet. And then you start looking at, well, how wide is that going to be at the base? So you're not sitting it 5 feet from the fence or even 10 feet from the fence. You're probably 15 to 20 feet out either way. And so if you're inside, and then once that grows, you've now taken 25, 40 feet of property away from the operation, which becomes problematic. If we're on the outside of the fence, we're actually in the county property at that point. When you push it out to the point where you could have the fence grow or the trees grow and not be on top of the fence, we're either on or really close to where the county property begins. I think if nothing else, Dave's maintenance of the trail and the way he's cleaned up that property, if you're not aware, it's the old Mattingly Automotive property, and he's made it look a lot better. He cares about optics. Anybody who's in landscaping, their number one advertising tool is people that drive by their sites, right? It's like they drive by and see it and it looks nice. There's going to be people walking by, and if they see that he can't keep his own site clean, that's not going to help his reputation. So he does care about that, but it becomes also a matter of what's efficient, what makes the most sense. And with regard to the outside, he's not opposed to working with the county to figure out some kind of a screen there. It would be great if the county would chip in on covering cost of removal of that stone and getting dirt. I don't, obviously that's not a BZA condition, but that makes this seem more as a partnership as opposed to just putting on him, and especially if we're having to do this in the county, on county property anyway, that becomes a bigger, it's a bigger question, right? So, I know in talking with Kayla, we had 2 conversations today. I think it does become an ongoing conversation, especially as the trail continues to be developed and used, and, if there's changes in the way the property is used back there. Right now, we're doing this to clean up the zoning so that they can build a building that's on the front left portion of it, the northwest portion of it. So nothing back there is actually going to be changed in the sense that there would be need for additional screening from what's already there.
So what is your proposal then to comply with the planning commission requirement to address the screening? I'm lost. What's the proposal?
Well, I think, and this is part of the reason why I asked, what was the condition that the planning commission put on it? Because I thought it was working with the office, the planning office, in terms of trying to figure out what makes the most sense. And then obviously the commissioners are going to.
Or the BZA, or at minimum comply with the buffer requirement.
Yeah, and I don't know what the buffer requirement is between CC and CN. Because we're not residential, and I kind of asked Kayla about that today. I don't know what the requirement is between CC and CN. And I also don't know what other buffer requirements have been put on other properties that have been rezoned in the area. I think 2 parcels to the east is one that is now CC. So I don't know if there was a landscaping requirement placed on that one when it was rezoned.
The
I think.
The landscaping is based on use to use, not necessarily.
Yeah, and that one has automotive sitting back by the Pennsy Trail and pallets. So that one's even worse from an aesthetic standpoint than where we are.
But,
Look up
well,
what the buffer requirements
so that
between
whole
CC and CN, please.
south
Is that what you're
property
doing?
line
Awesome. Thank you.
abuts commercially zoned property. So I guess that after we had the hearing at the Plan Commission, I got to thinking about that, and the condition that she just referenced, I was not sure that we were clear enough on that or really gave a good direction, because it's probably, since it's use to use, and although it's a budding commercial, that commercial use is a trail, right? So we're commercial there over the trail zone commercial, I think. So,
Community neighborhood.
Yeah, but the landscaping requirement would be a commercial use to a trail, which is not the use is a trail. So I don't know how the ordinance would direct for that. So I don't know if the right answer is to come up with a determination on what would be required there. And then if we determine that it needs a type 1, then they could seek a variance, or we could do trees elsewhere, or, 1 for 1 or something like that. I don't know, but I mean, it's arguably the trail being completed there. And I know that you guys are doing a great job of maintaining there, and that's very much appreciated. But the trail probably does add some value, and this rezoning adds some value to the property, arguably, so for future uses and things like that. So I think that that's probably what's going to be on top of the mind at the hearing with the commissioners, probably. So, on how they think. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, you're gonna swear me in.
Swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth.
I do. David Gooden, Goodin.
How much
I want to be really clear. I want to do whatever is best.
I want to see how much time's left so we know.
Quite a bit of time.
Oh, okay, you're good.
5 minutes, actually.
Sorry, go ahead.
I want to do whatever best, but I also want the county to work with me too, if we're doing it right. I mean, I didn't put the Pennsy Trail in, they put it in. There's a lot of rock back there. I have no trouble putting the landscaping in, but I don't want to put trees in that are going to die. And I mean,
Exactly.
He said it was 3 foot. I mean, we took a shovel back there today to dig it up to find out. I mean, you're at 5 foot. I mean, I'm standing in the hole up to here, and there's gravel all the way down. I have pictures of it on the Pennsy Trail where they've cut it out, where I'm as tall as the trail where they cut out, and there's gravel all the way down. So I have no trouble putting something in there, but I don't want to be responsible for the guy that has to come in to maintain something, and it will have to go on the county property. In order, if you really want to hide a buffer and have something in there, I'll put 30 trees back there, but there needs to be some give and take.
Not just that, but kind of along that lines, in a sense, I don't want to see a private owner putting spending money putting trees and shrubbery on county property if there's a line issue there, because then we're asking him to do things for us that he doesn't own. Because when you put things onto other property, it becomes an ownership issue as well.
Clarify for me why we're talking about the county property for a type 1 buffer. Require businesses to put
Then
trees on property. I don't understand why we're in the county buffer.
Because there's no place to put it in there that the tree wouldn't grow into my fence, that it wouldn't be of a nuisance. So let's just say we're going to put a Norway spruce in. It's going to grow 30, 40 foot and 25, 35 feet out. Well, in order to do that, to not touch the fence or be on the fence that I have currently now, it would be in that area. So it would touch the fence and grow into the fence, and then it becomes, a maintenance issue. I guess what I'm saying is I'm trying to just work with you guys up here and say, hey, look, this is what we're running into. It's not what I wanted dealt. There was trees that were grown up. When they brought the trail in, they cut them all down. They were dead, but there was trees and things that were growing up, honeysuckle that was growing up. They cut it all down.
You heard the testimony on Tuesday from the Planning Commission. Direction was clear, aesthetically and for security purposes, provide a plan for screening. And what I'm hearing is that, well, it's nothing, it's not our obligation. It'd be wonderful to be able to hear what you'd be doing to comply with, at minimum, the buffer and some of the security requirements. I mean,
Yeah, I think what you're saying is you want some more direction from the county as to what they would like for you to do there, because you can't do it the way that our ordinance says,
Yeah, and I'm
essentially.
not willing to put them on the inside of the fence.
Right. Oh, you don't want to put them on the inside?
the issue.
No.
Yeah, okay.
I think it becomes the same problem. You're talking about losing the 40 feet of operational space all the way down.
At maturity level.
Yeah, at maturity level.
Well, and the other issue I think we're having here is I don't even think the county's clear, including us, that what has to be there. I mean, he does, am I right in understanding that you do have a fence there currently?
Yes.
What kind?
Chain link.
Okay.
6 foot.
Well maintained.
How do we feel about slats going into the chain
In the
link?
chain link, I'm not opposed to slats because that does give it an opaque feature. The issue I'm having with this is because it is a congested area. We're not even, like I said, we're not even 100% sure what kind of buffer that needs to be there because it's unclear in the ordinance. Thus, in my opinion, it's open.
But what, I think we have 2 zonings. Follow what the zoning says. So we have one that's now
Well, it'd be
approved.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Do we have, for those 2 zonings, do we have what does the ordinance state? Okay. That's what I'm trying to ascertain, because so far what I've heard, I haven't heard anything. So I'm not saying it doesn't there, I just want to know what that is.
While she looks that up, you guys can give us your plan for burning.
Yeah, so Good and Ground has a nursery license. Their burning is governed by IDEM. They have to meet IDEM standards for that. That is actually covered under, while there's a general prohibition on commercial burning, if you look at Indiana Code Section 13179-1, that is open burning of certain vegetation and wood items, no permit required, which includes a nursery, which is what Dave has. Dave has a nursery license for the nursery stock that he grows. Yeah, and they require a lot of things. They require any burns to be observed. You have to be there while they're burning them, which Dave does. Dave has a water truck back there while there's burns going. They have to be dawn to dusk. It has to be light out. Good and does theirs during the workday while people are there. So it's there. And it has to be the dead stock, the nursery stock is what they can burn. There's limitations on what they can do. To the point that there are issues with that, that's a IDEM concern.
Yeah, and I'm like,
To IDEM. And IDEM has, Dave has met with IDEM in the past with regard to his operation, and IDEM found that they were in compliance.
just out of curiosity, what is the size limit of that burn?
No, we don't burn very big.
Yeah, and that's.
Well, that's why I was wondering, because I know on a private
I'm not going to say
ownership.
that we haven't had them to where they've gotten big. 'Cause
Yeah,
we have.
because my understanding per state law for private ownership, as far as
Yeah.
you and me and at our house, it's a 2 foot cube from grade.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of times they specify that. I didn't know if you happen to know what that was.
I don't believe they have a specification
Okay.
with this, or, with farmers that are burning in fields, things like that. But then there are other aspects of this. Anytime there is an open burn, Dave notifies the fire department of the open burn.
That's always
The fire
good.
department's been called once. We thought it was twice, but Kayla spoke to them today. They've been called once. They came and everything was okay, and they just said, hey, put it out before you leave, which he does.
Yeah, as long as you notify them as well, that's great.
I think another component of this that maybe it seems to kind of get overstated is, I think you were burning here recently, and it was the third time this year. It's not a regular burn, and it's even timed then to when it is, one, it's going to be driven on the stock that's going in, the weather conditions, so it can't be limited to only once per this. I mean, we don't know. But it is not a regular occurrence. And even with then, he tries to time it when it's cool and wet, because that helps keep the burn under control, and also keeps smoke down. And a lot of the stock that they're burning isn't creating a lot of smoke anyway.
So there's no local ordinance besides an emergency preclusion of burn that you would need to comply with?
And in fact, the statute actually says that there's no requirement for permits from local governments on that.
Interesting.
On the landscaping ordinance. And it states that we do have a park use, which is probably what the Pennsy Trail would come closest to. So if we look at a commercial use next to a park use, then the buffer yard is actually a type 2. So for a side or rear property line, that means a 20-foot buffer yard area with 4 shade or evergreen trees, 1 ornamental tree, and 10 large shrubs per 100 linear feet. I would point out once again that on existing sites, we typically enforce this as the site develops. I'm looking at a warehouse addition right now. I'm not asking them to re-landscape the entire warehouse. I'm just looking at the addition.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's
The trees that she's described don't hide anything. So if you're wanting to hide something, you want an evergreen there. And again, I have zero problem putting evergreen trees down through there. And I'll put them to where they touch. So when they grow in, you can't see anything. But again, in order to be on there, I want to come on the outside of the fence and not the inside of my fence.
Type 2 requires the location of those trees to be.
the outside of the fence. That's the problem.
On which property? And whose property?
Well, it'd be on his property, but that's what he's saying. It's not, there's only, what, 5 feet, right?
No, there's,
You'll need to,
We'll need you to swear in, unfortunately, if you've got,
Look at the site plan.
see it
or
on,
whisper it in one of these guys' ears or something.
It doesn't really show.
Swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing.
I do.
State your last name.
Going, spelled Going. And we have not completed a total detailed land yet. So that's pending approval of these issues here tonight. But we have prepared the site plan based on survey grade information, and you can see on that site plan, first of all, you can see all the growth that got removed for the trail that had been there. That shows up very clearly on your site plan. And you'll see the rear property line, and you'll also see a 20-foot setback, rear setback requirement, and you kind of see a light fuzzy line that runs at an angle through that. That fuzzy line is the fence
Okay.
that we're talking about. So on the westerly end, it looks like he probably has about 15 feet outside the fence. Down at the easterly end, probably not much.
Explain how we would normally address a type 2. The fence would be located in such a manner that you have also inside the property line. I mean, we're drawing a demarcation at the fence that seems arbitrary to me.
The ordinance requires that to be done by a licensed landscape architect, and so I usually refer things to a landscape architect for that.
All right. I still just don't, this landscape issue, I'm not sure that we can address it without possibly, I mean, he's definitely has a hardship situation here with the topography, so.
That's kind of what I'm seeing is if, I mean, I think they need to work it, the petitioner and the staff need to work this out if they can. And if not, we may be looking at a later variance.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be anything we're going to definitively complete this
I would
evening.
also assume that you would get further direction at the approval of the recommendation on the zoning, on that, at your next level, that we could take better action on.
The only issue I have with that is we are a prior non-conforming use, and the minute we make changes, we risk losing that. So there's a chance we go to the commissioners, we get our rezone, we get our use variance pending some future variance, you guys deny it, and now we lose the prior non-conforming uses that we have now. So, you know, the alternative might be, you know, I don't know what that looks like, you know, because Kayla has suggested that as the development occurs along the back, that it be addressed then. I think that sounds reasonable. Of course I do, right? I'm the petitioner.
Well, and in answer to your question, though, that's kind of my rub as well.
Yeah.
Is your development's up front. Your development's not in the back. A. B, you're legal non-conforming. So so everything that you've enjoyed should still exist, in my understanding of how legal nonconformity works. So the landscape issue in the back is not as big of a deal to me as it is the conformity of the new structure up at the front.
I agree. And I think that
So,
kind of
and
goes
that's
to your concern.
what I'm
which
trying to
is-
understand.
Except that there's specific direction from the planning commission to address this.
But that's my point. The plan commission is trying to direct something in an area of the property that's not even part of the issue. I get that. I get that. But still, that's case in point, you know, they're wanting to broaden the expanse of what they're wanting done versus what's actually trying to be done. Because I've run into this before with other situations as well that I've seen where, well, while you're doing this, let's do this. And it's has nothing to do with why they're there. That's my
I would look to the vote of the
thoughts.
planning commission in direction of that in order to rezone. There was conditions that we put very deep on lots of items.
I think you guys should do what you want to do. And then it kind of becomes up to the commissioners to reconcile that. Because the planning commission has made a recommendation to the commissioners, they're going to review that recommendation and they're going to make their decision based off of however they make theirs. But yours is separate and apart from that, and then there could be some reconciliation at the commissioner meeting between decisions. With yours being conditioned upon approval by the commissioners, and you know, and then we see what happens at the commissioner meeting.
Yeah, the ideal situation here would probably be that we would have a variance in our packet tonight to eliminate the buffer requirements, I think would be ideal, unfortunately. So I don't know if.
Well, and I still don't know that it does because the plan commission put a condition on theirs. So I don't know what happens when you have the plan commission conditioning, we have to do landscaping, BZA giving us a variance saying we don't have to. I don't know who controls that situation.
We can't grant a variance that's not in front of us.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
even if we did, even if we did have it,
Mm-hmm.
if you make a condition, I don't know, you know, the commissioners come back and grant your recommendation from the plan commission and say, do landscaping, and we say, but the BZA told us we don't have to. That seems irreconcilable. You know, I don't see how we can kind of make those work together.
So let me understand, is the planning commission wanting us to tell them what to do?
Planning commission gave time for them to work this out and come to a recommendation for us. Their recommendations that we're not going to do.
Well, the
That's the problem.
recommendation was that no landscaping be done at the rear until the rear is developed. So if you want to view that as don't do anything, that's fine, but that wasn't the recommendation. I believe the recommendation was that the planning department isn't typically making people, even with the wholesale, do landscaping on these kinds of variances until they're making
The
changes to the
planning
affected
commission
area.
absolutely does that when there's a dissimilar,
I was talking about the planning department's recommendation,
but
obviously.
if there's dissimilar uses or dissimilar zoning, we have to address that. That's all this is. It's just different uses, two different.
I completely understand. But I think this is also unique in that it's prior non-conforming, a legal non-conforming use.
How many years you been there at that location operating?
2018, 7.
When did the trail go through?
The trail came through this.
Can you come forward?
Yesterday.
You're already sworn in.
I need to swear in again.
No.
The trail came in, it completely got asphalted like in the spring of this year. They started the work on it I think in the fall or something. We actually went back and helped them clear a bunch of it out with the bush hog and stuff down further, not behind us, but down further because they ran into some things.
So prior to them cleaning this out across your southern line, how close were the plantings on your property and then the county came in and cleaned all that?
Yeah, they came in because their grader got down in there when they came in and they cleaned. They had a bunch of honeysuckle down through there that had grown up and they had cleaned, I don't know, from like me to you down into it. And so as they came in, they got the trail asphalted. We went in because honeysuckle's an invasive species and cleaned the rest of it out to try to make it look nice. That's when we started to find all this gravel because we were going to try to grow grass and make things look nice back there. So we go back there about every other week and try to knock it down and mow it down. We actually do both sides of it.
So the existing materials could have been a benefit for screening for you, and then the county came and took them out.
Correct.
But it was invasive though, right? So it was.
Well,
yeah.
it's still screening.
It's still
though, right?
screening.
And I had pictures, and I mean, it doesn't matter now, but they have that way down, somebody's gone down the whole trail and done that where they've, the trail was, I'm gonna say from this whole area from that you're walking in here, and they've gone through and they've widened it. I mean, somebody's gone through because they make piles and just leave it, and it's been there for months where they've just made piles and left it. So, I mean, I guess when I think of things, it's like, I really am trying to take care of it because it really does represent us. I mean, and I do want it to look nice.
Yeah. But if we went with the original thought of the, waiting until the property to the south, which would be the residential property, which, I'll admit that's where my mind was Tuesday night, was buffering between your use and the residential. That was before I thought about the trail being its own zoning, I guess. Is that something you're open to? That if a neighborhood was built back there, that you would create the type 2 buffer to doing however you have to do it, if that's a new fence or
That I
whatever?
don't have to bring and truck dirt in, absolutely. It's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, in order to get plants to grow and thrive in that area and to get, established turf and to make things look nice, I mean, it's slate railroad ties with, steel and everything else in there.
Well, I know we said the BZA or the staff, I think, so I guess an option that we have is to just, it sounds like we don't have the authority to negotiate shared cost or anything here at the BZA, so we may just have to stick with that staff recommendation for now and let you hash any of that out with the commissioners as far as shared cost or whatever. Does that sound reasonable?
What's the staff recommendation, type 1 or?
It'd be that to wait until the property to the south was developed and then install it. And that could be 20 years, who knows, it could be anything, but so. All right. We haven't done our remonstrators yet, so
We still need to do that.
do we have anybody here that would like to speak in opposition to this? Come on up.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole
I do.
Okay.
Larry Sedam, S-E-D-A-M. Just so happens Larry walked that section of trail July 20th. And I can't show you the picture that's on my phone, but the dog was in the picture and we took it and it's that spot. So I'm going to tell you, about 2 feet off of that fence in his nursery area is an evergreen growing, along with many other trees in his nursery area, along with many stacks of pallets that is unsightly, along with his snow plows that are against the fence that are, again, unsightly. I appreciate the fact that he maintains his area on this side of the fence, but this trail, as you go down, is supposed to be a keystone hallmark for Hancock County. It's supposed to take Greenfield clear to Indianapolis. If you take the trail, walk it, bike it, landowners that want to make it nice, like the apartments, they maintain their area. Got housing additions that don't maintain it. So yes, you know, on the opposite side is scrub. But if he wants to have a hallmark for him, put a sign out there, clean it up. Look where the fire department is on 700 there, where it kind of does the little jog there, right by the church. Tennessee Trail goes behind it. It's immaculate down there. It's immaculate almost all the way down. There's certain parts of the trail that's bad. This part of the trail just opened. Shouldn't expect this part of the trail to be to the standard the rest of the trail is. Right behind this building is the trail. You can hold in tonight. Was it bad? Was it overgrown? No, it's maintained because it's been there for a while. You take it all the way down. Don't get me wrong. There's some rough stuff along the Pensy Trail where, you know, farmers for years have thrown their old toilets and you name it, it's back there. But if you want to put a standard, make them live up to it. Don't let them show a rusty old snowplow. When you tell me you can't grow anything there, but I can clearly see 2 feet off the fence, you're growing evergreens in your nursery. And if he's going to deny it, he and I can go back there and look at this picture. Because I'm telling you right here, it's right here next to his fence, along with some of the other unsightly things he has. I get it, it's a business. But you know what? Be proud of your business. You know, your front door is just as important as your back door, especially if your back door is the Pensy Trail. It's just my opinion. Thank you.
One question. You talk about the Pensy Trail a lot. How long has it been that the Pensy Trail was going to run that distance, run that way?
About 2 years ago, I started helping them clean some of it out because it was about right where they're at was a hump where the train came down. So it started smoothing out. But from the start of his property down, it starts to slope down and east. So the county has owned that for a while. They tried to put mulch and all kinds of, make it a trail, a walking trail. But until this spring is when they really started doing it. But before that, you had the 400 over to 500, and it's been piecemealed. This whole Pensy Trail has been a bite at a time, is the best way to say it. So again, you've got the county doing what they have to do to try to get it to that point. And I think as business owners, I think, you know, a lot of businesses are along that trail. A lot of people take care of it, but I won't say it's perfect. You ride right down past this area here, it's pretty rough. It's pretty ugly. So what do we enforce? What do we ask our What do I ask our neighbors to do? This is a neighbor that's taking care of something, but yet he's saying he can't grow anything. I don't know. Thank you.
Do you have anybody else who'd like to speak in opposition? Okay, Mr. Glasgow, you've got some rebuttal period here. 3?
3 minutes, yeah.
Point of clarity, he is talking inside the fence. The ungrowable area that we've discussed was between the fence and the trail. That's the stock. You know, those are the spruce stock. There's probably 40 of them there that he uses in his operation. If we have to plant landscaping buffer there, those all have to go someplace else. And now we've lost, that's what we're talking about, we've lost 40 feet of usable space down that fence row when you start planting so that the pines don't ruin the fence, because eventually they're gonna go 30, 40 feet tall, 20 feet, out. So if you don't want to ruin the fence by having the trees on top of them, you have to push them back. But yes, that inside of the area can grow. And those are the stock that he is growing for his business. So nobody is indicating that trees and plants can't grow inside of that fence. That is actually where he is growing the stock for his operation. So just wanted to clarify that.
Can you address the remonstrator's claim about the unsightly collection along the fence, just for us, just for the
If
record?
there's a snow plow there, is that?
Plow pallets.
I know what it is.
You know where it's at.
There's nothing to hide. I mean, I said it the last time I was here, there's pallets that are there. We do stack pallets up. We do keep material back along the fence. Yeah, 100%. There is snow plows that are there. I don't know any snow plow that's up against a fence. Everything is actually north of our road as it comes in. You don't have the map up, but there's a road that comes in that you can see. All the snow plows are stacked and they're all nice and neat and they're all sitting in there. Yeah, I mean, plows are going to get rusty. It's sitting outside.
All right. Anything else? Any questions?
One more question. Seeing that the full rezoning was only a favorable recommendation is going to commissioners next. We usually would see a little bit of time for that to settle before it comes to the BZA. Would you be injured if we continued and waited for that final determination by the commissioners to?
Yes, because we'd lose the prior non-conforming. We get
Would impact you how?
we can't have outdoor storage. We get rezoned to CC, which is fine, but we're not allowed to do any outdoor storage. And now we have done a rezone, which I believe your council would tell you could put at risk the prior non-conforming use that allows outdoor storage in the nursery.
Allowed to continue non-conforming.
You think, I was under the impression that if we make any changes, such as rezones, that we lose any of the variances that we would have had to get under the prior non-conforming use. If I get a letter from council that says we don't lose our ability to have outdoor storage under a rezone.
Be best requested under your commissioner's hearing?
What? I'm sorry?
Be best requested under your commission, say that the non-conforming use came before the BZA approval.
Add that as a condition.
Usually how that would happen. It's just out of ordinary for us to consider something without the full decision and full instruction being made by the commissioners. That's the approval. We're seeing this before the rezone.
I understand. I mean, I view the BZA as a different body than the Plan Commission and the commissioners. You guys are kind of your own. Your rules don't go, you don't make a recommendation to them. You make your decision and that's the decision. So, if the commissioners put a condition that we don't lose any of the benefits of our legal non-conforming status on the rezone pending the resolution of the BZA, I don't have any issue with that.
We can't do that here either, right?
So that's, I'd say we can't do that here, so that's why I'm okay with proceeding forward with this special exception request.
Yeah, I think it's essentially the landscape buffer just after all this discussion, it would just essentially just be an unresolved item, I guess. I mean, at this point, and then once you got your rezone done, then you
You guys haven't asked me one question about my building. I mean, it's just all been about I'm just being honest.
No.
I mean, like, this is,
That's the weird thing is the building's not really.
Believe it or not, I
like
actually had a question about your building.
I mean, so I'm just up here thinking, out loud, it's like, this whole time we've been talking about landscape. I mean, obviously I'm a landscaping company, but like I'm here because I want to build a building.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, as I'm sitting over there, I have a lot of second thoughts if I want to continue to try to build this building. I'm not lying to you. I mean, I'm ready just to go back to work and do what I was doing.
So the one question I did have about your building, have you had discussions with, or will have discussions with the survey department about drainage?
Yeah.
Because we're adding impervious area to the building itself and the parking lot around it. So that's always going to be an issue, especially along there with the road, with the old trail, is drainage. So as long as making sure that happens and you get proper approvals and whatever it may be required. So.
Yeah. I definitely appreciate your frustration. I'm frustrated with it too, because it's got to be rough just trying to improve your property, and then we're sitting here haggling over a landscaping buffer. But
I assure you, just have to be patient with me. It's going to look nice. I mean, it
totally.
As the gentleman said here, it doesn't come overnight. I mean, you just got to be patient with me to get some things squared away.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate these types of situations. It's trying to figure out how to make sure that we do it right legally so that it's all documented correctly. And that's really the discussion. It's not so much that we have any doubt that you're going to do a really nice job, because you always have. It's one of the best looking properties along there for sure. I mean, it just always looks great, and you've been a great community member. So we don't doubt that at all. It's just making sure that we're following and everything's documented correctly and it all works out. So, but yeah, I appreciate the frustration. It's tough for sure.
So once the new building's built, what are you going to do with the house?
That's a good question. I don't know what we're going to do with the house. Honestly, part of it thought maybe donate it to the fire department, and level it off and make it green space. I mean, I don't really know, if I'm being honest. I haven't given it that much thought ahead, because we're busting at the seams there and we really need more office space. I mean, I'm looking at, opening up I've been looking for another building as well to start a second location. I mean, we're really growing and really booming. So, I mean, I'm actively looking there too, so.
Yeah. All right. Any more questions? All right. Thanks, guys. There were no government officials here, I don't think, so we'll just move on from there. So any discussions here on
I noticed that
conditions?
we're missing much of the contractor warehouse and storage yard conditions that we normally have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are some things that we sometimes tack onto it. That's really just reminders to the owner of the procedural things that go along with a special exception or variance. The owner shall seek and obtain an improvement location permit for the change of use. I think that was on there already. BZA reserves the right to modify or revoke the special exception at a public hearing if it determines that the business constitutes a public nuisance. The special exception shall automatically expire after 12 months unless all required county permits related to the change of use have been approved. That'd be your building permits. The special exception shall be limited to and run with the petitioner or assignee or affiliate of the petitioner in which the petitioner has and maintains a controlling interest. Otherwise, a special exception shall not be transferable to any other petitioner, person, or entity. And the petitioner agrees to provide an access nope.
No, so say.
I don't know what that one's doing on there. You don't need to be providing any access easements to the township trustee. I don't know what that's on there for. So just some procedural things there. But I don't know if you want to show that to Mr. Glasgow, make sure he's okay with those if we decide we want to add those on. Otherwise, we're probably good with the staff conditions, which is just the ILP.
Are you including A through E?
Yeah, that was the whole, the requirements of the ILP. Yeah, that'll be in the application. I also kind of wonder if his nursery stock would count. I mean, he basically has it because he's got all those trees planted there.
Have a plan that addressed
Yeah.
it. We could have done this so easily. I mean, I would be most open for a continuance because we just don't have clear direction on the entirety of what's been given to us. So it would be nice to have the rezoning settled, that we're making decisions about what the zoning is.
Yeah, I agree with them, though, that they, from a pure legal perspective, they would then, their legal non-conforming is kind of in jeopardy in that case.
Might be a jeopardy,
so.
but anyway, it would have been. I don't, there's always in jeopardy. Purchasing a legal non-conforming is a danger. Absolutely.
If need be, staff could also ask the commissioners to continue time needed on that end till more information was needed.
So if we continued this special exception, it went to the commissioners, they approved of the rezoning.
Any commentary on the two turned down or not? There's a recommendation, then we have the clear determination. Have clear determination on what we're dealing with in terms of type 1, type 2, whatever it is. Because that's all pending, that all can be handled in the rezone, but not the special exception. Then if there is a determination variance, then we can handle that.
Well, that's,
I don't
but
understand.
I don't think the special exception has anything to do with the rezoning.
A bit blind. Zoning is, what the instruction is on the construction of the property.
I mean, I understand, we know that it's coming, but as of tonight, right now, it's zoned as it is. I mean, if, I'm almost wondering if we knew, so, and I'm not trying to be, I don't know, rude, if you will, but it's just, did staff know that this was coming, the rezone?
We recommended it because in order for him to build his office building, he needed to rezone and get the special exception.
Okay. So did we recommend the special exception prior to the rezone or the rezone prior to the special exception?
Both were recommended at the same time, essentially. It is the petitioner's choice how they want to pursue that. But you cannot get the special exception if you are not in the correct zoning district to allow it.
That's if we can get the commission to continue this, then we have clear direction on the zoning.
Well, that's what I'm kind of saying. So if we rezone first, then would the special exception be needed?
Yes.
Okay. So either way, the special exception needs to happen.
Yes, in order.
Okay.
Just a minute.
Come up to the microphone so you can get on the record.
If the commissioners deny the rezone, we're not, I don't even think we're a special use under the current zoning, so we can't get a use at all at that point.
Well, no, what I'm understanding from my understanding of the ordinance, a special exception would still be required for this office building,
So-
correct?
I think it'd be a use variance at that point.
If the rezone is denied, you cannot get a special exception, you cannot build the new office building, you are stuck with legal non-conforming status as it is today. No new buildings associated with this use can be built.
So if we grant the special exception tonight and the commissioners decide to deny the rezone,
This is basically null and void. It would
so
be
that's
contingent.
my point.
The reason for a continuance.
Conditioned upon the commissioners approving.
Did staff advise of this?
I believe we mentioned it as a risk.
We
Okay,
would,
did you understand that as a risk?
Yeah, I understood that your granting of a special exception would be conditioned upon the commissioner's approval of a rezone.
Okay.
Well, your special exception here has to be conditioned on their rezone.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no language in that here. I'm just saying it would be much better to have a clear determination on the zoning, and then we can properly consider a special exception to a zoning that's then active. We don't know the conditions upon which we're approving or not approving a special exception. That's the concern.
And I think that's part of my frustration with this whole case.
Well, I mean, well, this is procedurally, this is kind of how these types of things go, just because of the timing of meetings and things. But we found ourselves hung up on this landscaping because of the ILP permit, right? So when they file for the ILP, when you do the plan review, you're going to say, well, you need this type 2 buffer there, which he can do. It's just, they're just all going to die, because he's going to set them on rocks out there, So, I mean, we could, even after all this discussion, we could vote on the special exception, be completely silent about the landscaping. That would refer them back to the comment that the Plan Commission made, that they would work with the BZA and staff. The staff couldn't, or the BZA couldn't do anything because there was not the right zoning in place to make a determination or to negotiate. They have an idea to share some cost with the county to do what the county would like to see done there. So, I mean, I guess we could go ahead and make a determination on the special exception, and then when they go to the commissioners, they could talk about landscaping and what they would like for you to do.
because the commissioners can add
Mm-hmm.
and make more stringent.
Because they could add a landscaping requirement or a landscaping alternative or something like that, I suppose, right? They could, I think when it came up Tuesday night, it was, just this, it's a community asset, this trail out here trying to, do right by it, and all, so.
And when I was talking to Dave about this, I indicated, the county can't make you do anything. They can't make you do any buffer. They can't make you change your outdoor storage, but you can't build a building. This is a chance for some give and take.
Yeah.
And the question becomes, how much does the county want to take in terms of you lose 40 by 100 feet of your inside fencing area? That's the operation of your business, when, as he's telling you, he's already busting at the seams looking to buy more.
Yeah.
Versus, okay, we got to build it outside. Well, if we build it close enough so that we're not on county property, we've now destroyed our $60,000 fence. And I see your face, but there's that. It's if we build a pine that grows into the fence, that's going to destroy the fence.
Yeah.
And so, so there's some give and take here. And if the county doesn't want to give, then that's fine. It stays the way it is now. If there's a mutual ground where everybody can meet to figure out a way to screen, a way to buffer, and get approvals, fantastic. But, it's...
Yeah, I guess from your perspective, if we took action here tonight on the special exception, say it's approved, you've got a favorable recommendation with the commissioners, you go to the commissioner meeting and one of them is already got this front of mind, and so I guess you just would discuss the options then to be able to obtain the ILP with your challenges of your landscaping. So I think that's a possibility. There's still some risk going into that. I mean, obviously they could not be.
And there's risk with all
Yeah.
this. They say no.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we're just back to where we started.
Yeah.
And we just go about as if, this
Yeah.
didn't happen.
Yeah. All right, any more discussion?
This might not fly, but I would feel more comfortable making a determination on this case when we have clear zoning in place and direction from the commissioners. I would motion to continue into our next board meeting.
Would anybody like to second? All right, that motion dies. Do we have any discussion on the condition or conditions? I guess we could make a condition that says that they would discuss with the staff and the Board of Commissioners, right, the landscaping issue. That would be a way to document what we talked about here tonight.
I have a question for us. So he made the comment that if we did continue this, chance that they're
Non-conforming?
non-conforming status. And I don't understand if we're going to continue this, how that.
They could get their rezoning at the Board of Commissioners before our next meeting. And then they wouldn't be allowed, they essentially they can't continue then because they've changed the zoning. So they're not legal non-conforming anymore. They've got a new zoning in place.
But there can be a condition when approving, the non-conforming can continue. There'll be a special exception.
Yeah.
Our department would look at the non-conforming chapter of the zoning ordinance, and it typically looks at when we have legal non-conforming uses, they may continue indefinitely until they are abandoned for 12 months or more. That's the rule. And that's to protect against changes we make in the rules.
That's
for
the thing,
existing
I mean,
businesses.
protect against changes you make, they're the ones requesting the zoning change. So I don't know if that's where the risk therein lies.
I think it would still hold true because of the use is not changing.
Oh, okay.
Attorney?
So if,
Our non-conforming uses is under section 156.093. It addresses new structures, but no new structure shall be constructed in connection with an existing legal non-conforming use of land. I'm reading that. However, that is one of the exceptions where you cannot continue the non-conforming use. However, this new structure wouldn't be built anyway unless you had the special exception, so.
Well, the question I'm asking is so that when the zoning change is self-imposed, then does the legal nonconforming that you enjoy still apply? Because the legal nonconforming does protect against somebody, the county changing it without you doing it, but you're the one imposing this zoning change.
So my answer is that when it gets to the commissioners, they can craft their language. We know the intent here, right? They can craft that language to make sure that the non-conforming use can exist until they get their special exception. I mean, that can be crafted in one of their.
But will they? That's the kind of the rub, and I think that's part of the reason why they went ahead and
Then they
took
can
this risk
withdraw.
tonight.
They could withdraw at the time before they make a decision. They could withdraw their.
Request to them that they put that language in so that it can get back to us.
I'm sure staff can make that recommendation, or you could do it if you want to continue, or if you want to put that into one of your conditions or directives, that can be part of your certification. I'm sure we can get word to them. I mean, we're all trying to work together on this. I don't think anybody's saying, you know, they're not standing their
No,
ground.
I don't
think we're all trying to
disagree.
make this work, so. Procedurally, I think we can figure it out.
I think they're trying to do the right thing, and the way the timing is and everything, it's almost like we're kind of slapping them at the same time.
Yeah, and I want to protect what, you know, the rights that they have, that they currently have.
I also understand, I agree with Lacey, you know, we really need to know what we're going to be voting on.
Well, that was a lot of options. So we could do, we could consider, it sounds to me like we could consider continuing this with the I'm sorry, we could vote on this with a condition that the landscaping required by the ILP be discussed and agreed upon with the Board of Commissioners at the rezoning. That could be an option that prevents them from risking this like rezone.
Yes.
All that, but it also addresses because there is a hardship there with that landscaping for sure, so any new news? No, okay. All right, so we'll, any additional discussion, motions, or if there are none, we can vote. We take a vote tonight without any conditions, and this landscaping issue just is deferred to the code, what the code says.
I would make a motion to vote on it with the condition as you stated, with the condition that they work that out with staff and.
Second.
Let's restate that. Articulate it one more time.
So I think what he was, it kind of originally came from me. So I think the motion and the second is that if the special exception is approved, it be subject to staff condition number 1, and then like a number 1A stating that the petitioner address the ILP's landscape buffer requirements with the Board of Commissioners at the rezoning hearing.
Yes, all but number 5.
Is your second still good?
Yes.
Staff condition, standard conditions 1 through 4, and then the condition about the negotiating or working with the landscape buffer requirement with the Board of Commissioners, and essentially get direction from the Board of Commissioners on how to do that. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We have 1 nay. Okay, so we have a 4-1 on the conditions. So the motion carries. All right, so now we can fill in our ballots.
Go.
Case number 25-2623, the special exception to allow contractor storage yard and warehousing is granted, a vote of 4-1 with Willard dissenting.
All right, thank you, guys. Thanks for going through all that with us. We appreciate
You
it.
have a number 3.
All right, item number 3, Ambrose Mount Comfort 5.
Okay. Because I had 2. Has everybody got a number 3 petition?
Yeah.
Okay. I had 2. That's why I was asking.
Cap lock is on. Maria, your cap lock is on. So,
The third petition for tonight is Ambrose Mount Comfort. The subject property is located at 2709 North 400 West in Buck Creek Township. It is in a IBP Industrial Business Park zoning district. The petitioner tonight is requesting a special exception to allow food production use. So in your packets, you should see the site plan the petitioner provided. The project involves utilizing the existing building with the addition of 2 silos approximately 30 feet in height to store cooking oil, as well as expanding the parking area to the east side of the facility. So in our land use matrix, it states that in IBP zoning district, food and beverage production is a special exception. The other uses that the petitioner is wanting to have at this location is permitted. So the manufacturing and distribution facility is permitted in the current zoning district. So why does this require a special exception? So with the food production, it requires a special exception to operate in this district due to specifically the utility demand of the food facility. It must be located in an appropriate area where the utilities are available or can be provided. One of the key concerns is the fat and oil and grease, which if discharged into the sewer system, it could cause issues with the water treatment systems and potentially some environmental issues. So that's why it would requires a special exception, because not all areas are deemed feasible for this type of use. So as I said, this is a special exception request. Staff is recommending the approval with the following conditions: that building permit and IOP be obtained within 12 months of the approval date, and the occupancy permit must be obtained 12 months after approval of the permit. Are there any questions?
Is this special exception, does it cover both of the parcels that are highlighted, or all three of
So
them?
it's just where that parcel where the building is at.
Okay.
And the application is by the tenant, not the landlord or the owner of the property?
It's by the owner.
By the owner and the tenant? Oh, by the owner for the tenant, on behalf of the tenant. They're different people?
Is it owner occupied or do we have a rental?
The petition is from the property owner.
Okay.
Yeah, on behalf of their tenant, yeah. Okay, any more questions? Nope, all right, thanks.
Okay, I'll turn it over to the petitioner.
All right, thank you.
click these buttons right here to just move over.
Good evening.
Do you
Thank
swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth?
I do. Good evening. My name's Brian Toohey. My address is 9294 North Meridian, and my last name is spelled Tuohy. Thank you for hearing our case this evening. So I represent the petitioner, and Greg Rasmussen is part of the petitioner. He's here with us this evening. And the petitioner's name is Ambrose Mount Comfort, V5 RFLLC. And this is a petition, as Maria succinctly stated, requesting a special exception to allow food production use in an existing industrial building in an area of other industrial buildings at 2709 North, 400 West. And I think you guys, I assume you guys can see the PowerPoint that I'm sliding through. So looking at this site, the site's about 54 acres, 55 acres. It's right next to Interstate 70. It's just north of it. And it's south of West 300 North, and it's east of 400 West. It's just on the north side of I-70. It's just east of the Transportation Enterprise Leasing. That's that TEL building you see as you drive along 70 or 300, and it's east of University Loft. As you see from that aerial photograph, there's other industrial uses around it: Progressive Logistics, PL Cold, Amazon, U.S. Auto, Tsuda. And then you can, on the high left-hand side, north left-hand side of this exhibit, you can see Mount Comfort Airport is just over the outside the photograph. This building is in existence. It was completed in 2022. It's about 750,000 square feet plus. It's been, it was occupied, but it's been vacant since the spring of 2025. There was formerly a logistics company that occupied the building. This potential tenant would take about half of the building, a little more than half of the building, about 60%, about 450,000 feet. But they won't go into a lease unless we have this special exception because they have a food production operation. So you look at the zoning around the site, the zoning classification is Industrial Business Park, IBP, in your ordinance, and it includes this site and includes the surrounding sites. All of the sites that touch this site are IBP zone, so very similar zoning. It's just under your IBP ordinance. For food production, you have to ask for a special exception, and I think Maria explained it, so because you got to make sure you got the right utility connections, sewer, water, etc. This site plan shows the building that's in existence. You can see there's 450,000 feet on the right side of that exhibit, and then the remainder of the square footage is on the left side of the site. It's got really good access. There's access drives coming down from the northeast, and access, a road 400 coming down from the northwest, and then there's a road across going east to west across the north end of the building. As she mentioned, this potential user would install 2 silos on the south side of the building and install some additional parking on the east side of the building. When you're looking at special exceptions, like variances, there's some criteria you go through. And the first criteria is whether the special exception is listed in your ordinance. It is. It's in section 156.021. It's food and beverage production is listed as a use that requires a special exception. You got to think about whether the special exception use can be served with adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities. This is kind of an interesting situation because you've got an existing building that was occupied and has been approved for zoning. So we know it's got good access roads. We know it apparently had drainage approved by the county drainage board. It's got adequate utilities and other facilities because it was in operation from 2022 till the spring of 2025. You have to look then whether or not it will not involve any element or cause any condition that may be dangerous, injurious, or noxious to any other parties or person, and shall comply with the development standards. all of the use will be operated within this building. So the food production is all contained inside the building and will not cause any condition that may be dangerous, injurious, or noxious. And they'll have a significant exhaust system to provide filtration and a scrubber system to mitigate odors. No odors and no obnoxious odors are anticipated outside the building. No noise other than the type of noise you'd expect in a warehouse distribution operation. And there wouldn't be any vibrations that you would get from this type of operation.
2 minutes.
The special exception shall be sorted, oriented, and landscaped to produce a harmonious relationship. Again, it's an existing building. It has landscaping. That landscaping was reviewed and approved through Hancock County in 2022. The special exception shall provide a total visual impression and environment which is consistent with the environment of the neighborhood. Well, the environment of this neighborhood is industrial buildings, and this is another industrial building. Other than to the far northeast, there is certainly some residential property that is separated from this area by a substantial berm and a pretty substantial treed area. The special exception shall organize vehicular access and parking to maximize or minimize traffic congestion in the neighborhood. Again, they had a logistics building in there, and it's got very good access, and so this use will not affect it won't affect traffic congestion. Thank you. The special exception shall preserve the purpose of the zoning ordinance. The zoning ordinance calls for this use to be approved by a special exception. So again, thank you for hearing our case. In summary, it's a listed use. The existing industrial buildings near other industrial building and industrial zone property. The use is compatible with existing and future nearby industrial use. This approval will allow for occupancy of a substantial portion of a currently vacant building. And once operational staff, this proposed tenant would create approximately 105 jobs. No known remonstrance at the time I wrote this. And the planning staff, which we have appreciated working with them, recommended approval with one condition, which the petitioner agrees to as part of this variance. So thank you for hearing our case.
Thanks. Questions?
A couple. Would you still need a special exception for a subsequent tenant if the current tenant vacates?
Did
this
you
run-
say, would I want the special exception to run with the building if the current tenant
Yeah,
vacates?
typically we have a requirement that if it ceases to operate over 12 months, the special exception will automatically terminate. Would you be comfortable with that requirement? Essentially
Yes.
runs with the tenancy. Okay.
Yes, but if this tenant left and we backfilled it with another tenant that was a similar business within 6 months or 8 months, whatever, then I'd want the special exception to stay in place.
We're approving this based upon the operations and brand and elsewhere of this tenant.
Yeah.
We wouldn't then have an opportunity to look at another tenant
Yeah,
with matching
well,
abilities.
yeah, I mean, if a food processing business came in and comes in and like the logistics business lasts 2 or 3 years and then leaves, that building will have some infrastructure in it that would be set for a food processing business. And if they backfilled that within a less than a year period, I'd want that special exception to still be viable. If it was 12 or 13 months, then no, we got to come back and see you.
What licenses or permits are required to operate this business? Okay. Okay.
And the couple questions I have for you or property owner's representative is I know this parking lot area does have a setup for an oil water separator just from runoff from the vehicles. But now that we're adding 2 silos, I strongly advise that those need to be looked at to account for those silos. Secondly, also oil water separators for the sanitary. Since this is now going to become food processing, no, county doesn't own the sanitary in that section, but that's still something that's create a lot of havoc.
Yeah, I thought the staff did a pretty good job when they came up with the commitment, the way they wrote it, because I think the way they wrote it, I've got it right here, includes in order to obtain the permit to do the work in the building, like the silos and the other things that'll need to be done for this tenant.
Yeah, and I'm sure that'll come up through that process as well.
Exactly, because he said, or she, Kayla said, the petitioner must present a tap fee receipt or proof of approval from Aqua, the sanitary sewer provider. So they were thinking about that, I think, when they made that commitment, and we're fine with that.
Yeah, and I figured that was the case. I just wanted to make sure that you and the owners were aware of that as well, just because that is going to become an issue as you go through this permitting process.
I agree, and they understand that.
All right, I'm good.
The petitioner is technically the building owner, right? So in his comment that they could backfill with another tenant of the same use, they could do that because they're the special exception belongs to
the real estate.
Ambrose, the owner. It would just be if they sold the building to another owner that it would fall away. Yeah.
Unless you make a condition that says otherwise.
Yeah, because we have this condition that we sometimes tack on that says that the special exception shall be limited to and run with the petitioner or an assignee or affiliate of the petitioner in which the petitioner has and maintains a controlling interest. Or we could make it very specific and say that the special exception shall be limited to and run with the petitioner or their future tenants.
We would appreciate not doing that.
Okay.
Reason being, as you all know, those buildings out there, they trade hands. I mean, Ambrose may sell to Prologis, or Prologis may buy from Ambrose, or Browning might buy a building. And we would respectfully request that it not be like that. There's no, I don't know that would happen, but those buildings do change hands. I think you're covered by this 12-month period that they got to get a permit within 12 months, and then if it's vacant for 12 months, it ends. We're fine with that.
Okay. But technically, the special exception will go with the petitioner, so we should probably put a condition on there that it could go with the petitioner's tenants, right?
Discussing the fact that stays with food production, and let's say it's another company, that it would be allowed to continue, unless you wanted to say another company comes, that special exception would stand, provided that they get another. You could do that.
That would be typical because you don't know the character
The next business.
subsequent, and they would just have to get the additional tap fees and
Yeah.
pay it. And then we would just understand the proper operation of the
Okay.
subsequent.
Okay.
Which I could agree with that, because I mean, we have food production now, but if, say, a bottling company comes in, obviously the water demands will probably increase versus food where the water demands aren't as potentially as high.
I think we'd be okay with the special exception if the user changes, that condition staying in place, that user's got to get approval from Aquasource, whoever the utility provider is.
Yeah, they'd have to get a new ILP, or a serve letter. Yeah, I think that seems fair, reasonable.
Because
Yeah.
I think what you're saying is if someone comes in and all of a sudden the water usage quadruples, you got to know that the utility provider can handle that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'd be okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right, any more questions for the petitioner? All right, thanks.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Do we have anybody that wants to be in opposition to this? Got two, okay. We can start with Larry. He had his hand up first, I guess, so. First come, first serve.
Already sworn in.
Already
Just
sworn
remember,
in.
the 7 minutes is in total.
Okay, I will be fast for my fellow Hancock neighbor. I'll represent, or I will reference 3A. I just want them to be a good neighbor. 3A, the exhaust. This production includes the frying process that will include an exhaust system with a filtration and wet scrubber system to assist in mitigating any odor. No significant odors outside the building are anticipated. If the scrubber filter isn't working, do they shut down? Who polices it? Who stops their production? If odors continue for many days, there's, this, yes, he says it's a complex, but I almost say someone's house is in their doorstep. You got right across the highway, you've got houses. Yes, it's an industrial area, but we weren't good about taking houses out of our areas in zoning. So we have houses relatively close to this. So being a good neighbor, are they going to shut down if their system shuts down? Secondly, you brought up the oil, the outside, the filtration. When they're filling these huge tanks, what's in place to make sure that that oil is contained? Are they going to build something? Who's going to approve all that? And then I'm going to reference 2A, traffic. One second, let me pull it up. Our Hancock County thoroughfare plan has 300 as a major, has 400 as a major. Then what feeds 400 other than 300? 200 is a minor. You have to go south to 100 or 40 to hit the next major to feed 400 from the south. It's not 200. 200 is a minor. The address of this is 2700. You get off the highway, it's going to be trucks and traffic coming down 200 to get to 400 to go up instead of coming down. What I asked my good neighbor to do, because this complex is multiple buildings, it goes from 400 to 300 on 300 North. So it's a mile stretch of buildings. The building that is supposed to be between right off of 300 west, 400 west and 300 west, the building in that complex can't come, it's requiring everything to go out 300 north. I request that their shipping, receiving address states an address off of 300 north rather than 400 north. That way you don't have trucks coming down 400, running the risk of overshooting it, have that whole complex coming off of 300 north, rather than put any kind of truck traffic on any other country road, because 300 is where all your industrial is based out of. Your Amazon, your trucks, everything else is off of that. You've got it, and he has that, the warehouse plan. The warehouse plan isn't updated. You got a brand new warehouse right along the road there. So again, I asked them to be good neighbors, and I think that's the biggest thing we need, is everything coming off of 300, because that's the road it's designed for. That's the road the county is designing for. And I asked them, please keep truck traffic off of everything but 300 north. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Somebody else? Come on up.
A little under 3 minutes. Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the
I do.
truth? State your name, spell your last name.
Brian Jarman, Jarman.
Go right ahead.
Yeah. I've already talked with the petitioner and worked out a request that they add additional screening on the berming. So I am the property on the northeast corner that is residential. And I also represent the landowner that is the woods. And so I've requested that they add fencing on those berms to further provide security, pollution control, noise, all that good stuff. They have agreed to that. And so really I would just like us to reduce that to the record as a condition.
so that we all are playing in the good meets and bounds. I don't know if you all want to speak to what those conditions were that were negotiated, but I think that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak in opposition? Anybody? All right, you have some rebuttal period. You can
2 minutes.
confirm that condition.
If it's okay with the BZ, I'll take the rebuttal backwards. I'll take the second remonstrator first. He's not really much of a remonstrator. He's right. We've worked out a deal. The deal that we agreed to, which I'll make part of the record, is if the special exception gets approved and if this tenant occupies the building, then we'll install a fence at the northeast corner, just north of this site, that will be 250 feet going north and 250 feet going east. And that fence will be 6 foot tall, chain link with vinyl slats or wooden fence. So if you can picture, if I'll go back to my exhibit here. So you see that site map there at the northeast corner of that light blue box. There's 2 streets, there's an intersection, and we'll go 250 feet north on the north-south street and 250 feet east on the east-west street. In addition to that, we'll put another 250 feet in length of fence on top of the berm up near where 300 is, and this drive comes back at a location to be agreed upon by Mr. Jarman and the petitioner. And they've worked that out this afternoon, and we're fine with that. I want to make that part of the record. As to the first gentleman, I didn't quite get where he lives. Are you a neighbor of this property?
I'm within a mile.
Okay, good. And his first or second issue was traffic. My comment about that is a food processing business is likely to have significantly less traffic than a logistics business that was in there before or could be in there today without any special exception. I don't want to tinker with the address of this building because I think that's assigned probably by the county.
Minute remaining.
I'm sorry?
You have 1 minute.
Okay. And so I would rather not change the address. That's the address the site's been given for fire service and everything else. I don't think that's a good idea. If the scrubber's shut down and the odor gets pretty noxious, I suspect Kayla and her team will hear about it and they'll have the right to go out there and do whatever they can do under enforcement. So no, I don't want to say we'll just immediately shut the business down because I don't know their operation that well. And if a scrubber failed and there wasn't any smoke or smell coming out of it, then there wouldn't be any reason to shut it down. So I would respectfully disagree with that gentleman on those 2 items. Thank you.
Any additional questions? All right.
I have one. About the diking on the oil tanks, and I think Mr. Sedan raised that, putting something so that the oil doesn't spill.
Yeah, well, your oil tanks have spill protection.
Again, I don't know that, but we would not be able to build those oil tanks unless they met IDEM and Kayla's requirements. So I think I know enough about oil tanks that you have to have some spill protection on any kind of them, both from IDEM and from the local municipality. So they'll meet those permit requirements if and when they decide to put those in.
All right. Any discussion on conditions?
I do think it'd be wise to add the conditions of the fence in the 3 locations as discussed to the conditions already put in place. Yes, they've made it a matter of record, but yeah, I think we ought to put that on the written conditions as well.
We also discussed the special exception being with the tenant, and if there's a future tenant of same use that it would continue if they are able to obtain the utility tap fee receipts, I think. So. I guess the thing is that they could potentially not need an ILP, so that the tap fee receipts are enough to kind of trigger that everybody knows it's a different tenant probably. But.
Make a motion or approved. Staff conditions would attach. Add as a subsection 1B, in order to obtain a permit, that all IDEM and local requirements for oil tank addressed. Number 2, that there will be a fence installed at the northeast corner, 6 foot high, made of either wood or chain slats, 250 feet on the north and 250 feet. That the special exception will cease if automatically cease if the business fails to operate for a 12-month consecutive. That the BZA reserves the right to revoke our typical right to revoke the special exception at an advertised public hearing if the activity, and that the special exception shall run with the not be transferable to any other owner or entity, and should the tenant or user change, a new aqua approval with receipt of tap fees shall be submitted.
Also a second location for front.
Third location, yeah, by the road on the berm.
Yeah.
Okay. Then add the third location. I didn't get the distance.
It was an additional 250 feet, correct? Yes, an additional 250
Additional
feet.
250 feet at the third location.
Yep, so we're looking at about 750 feet in
And I
fencing.
think your motion about, or your condition about the not be transferable to any other owner, I think that's what he was talking about. He didn't want to do because the building could change hands by investment companies or whatever. And so,
Pretty standard
yeah.
requirement of ours.
Yeah, so I think what we were going for was to runs with the petitioner, and if there is a tenant change, they must get an ILP. Yeah, that doesn't work either.
That would be my, I
Yeah.
would need to stick, I would stick with that just because that's,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just my motion.
So under that condition, if the building were to sell, the new owner would just find that in due diligence and address it as part of their due diligence period, I suppose.
So if the tenant stayed in, they'd have to come back and get another.
Yeah, because it is staying with, and under that condition, it's staying with the petitioner, which is the building owner. So it seems like I've always thought that was a little tough on some of these commercial properties. But.
That is occupied.
I don't know that we can assign a special exception to the real estate. I think it has to go with a petitioner, right? With the person, with a business or something.
So long as this is the combination that we're presented with. So it just seems, of course, this many other times, the combination of this petitioner with this occupant, sometimes his owner. Just, we know what's in front of us with this package.
The situation is this: if they're fortunate enough to get a tenant like this, which I think they are, but like all real estate deals, until you get to the closing, they may sign a 15-year lease, and in that will make that building attractive to a REIT or a life insurance company or somebody that wants a long-term AAA investment. And so to have this special exception terminate on the sale of that building really doesn't work for this kind of commercial property. It might work for a small business, but it wouldn't work for this.
So we could attach it to the petitioner or tenant.
And the tenant, what I'm worried about there is they have one certainly in mind that they've worked very close to what we have a deal. But if another tenant comes in with a similar business that's not ABC food, instead it's XYZ food, we wouldn't want that special exception to end. And I think that what will protect you is that if it includes that any tenant has to get approval from Aquasource or the various utilities to operate their business prior to operating, I think that protects what you're concerned about and allows them to go out and find another food producing tenant should they need to do that. But to have it terminate if they're not the owners of the building it doesn't work in a commercial real estate setting.
Didn't we do something with one of the lumber yards, or they were able to hand off
That was
special
this,
exception?
to an assignee or an affiliate. It was basically like he wanted to be able to hand it down to his kids, essentially.
Could we put a situation where they could hand that off, but they would have?
I mean, usually you just would have to just come in and apply for a special exception. That it hasn't been a not noxious operation, and no, just come in for a renewal.
Oh, yeah, like a renewal, and they don't have to come before us?
Particular to the individuals, special exception, that's the intention. Nothing, if everything's been going great, then it's just approved. But
Like file it, they have to come and file. They don't really have to come before us.
No.
Unless we require it.
Yeah, unless we require it or it expires. So it's been my understanding, correct? So the special exception will last. So
They would just like filing like for a permit, they'd have to just.
We certainly wouldn't have any problem notifying the planning department if the building changed hands. But again, this is, and I appreciate your example, it's a little different than handing the business down to your sons or daughters.
I understand that.
Because first off, if they get a lease and that creates then a valuable asset that a life insurance company wants to own as part of its portfolio, then if you tell the life insurance company, well, you got to apply for another special exception, not that it's a bad deal coming before you guys, but that's a process that takes some time. That may not allow the sale to go through.
But I mean, is there a way we can make it almost like a permit process where, not where they have to come before us, but they have to like make acknowledgement that it's changing hands, I guess.
We would certainly have no problem with the commitment that obligated the buyer and seller to notify the planning department of a change in ownership. That's ahead of time. We have no problem with that.
Annual occupancy permit?
An annual occupancy permit? Do other businesses have those?
Home occupations generally. Typically home
Oh,
occupations.
they come in and get an annual occupancy permit?
Something we have on hand.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be appropriate for this.
I just kind of think that like our standard condition number 4, if it were to run with the petitioner and their current tenant or future tenants or a new owner under an existing permit, and any future tenants would be required to get this utility tap fee receipt. You just kind of cover all those people. Yeah.
I guess I'm just wondering why the company that's moving in isn't the applicant for the special exception, because we just had one at the very start of this meeting where the special exception was granted to the landscaping business, but yet the mom and dad own the home for the variance purpose, right? So, and then if the tenant changes, then the new company would come in and get the special exception, and then we could make these determinations about its unique use.
In this case, the tenant told the owner, we're not going to enter into a lease unless we know we got the right to have a food production business on this site. And so the granting of it makes the building attractive to this tenant, and perhaps if they flush out other food production tenants. So that's why petitioner is the owner of the building and not this food production tenant, who also wanted to remain anonymous.
No, because it wasn't advertised that way.
Yeah, I think when I said they want to remain anonymous, I think a lot of people know who it is, but
I think this board needs to know who it is, quite frankly, and I'm almost wondering if you want to have a condition that says that it's only applicable to this tenant.
I would appreciate not doing that, because if for some reason they don't lease it, then we'd certainly want to find, if we could find another, we think this is a good use, we'd try to find another use.
Some of these conditions are designed specifically for them, like the IDEM requirements.
Right.
So we really do need to know what's coming into our county.
Was at a recent meeting, right? The user, was it a public meeting?
More aware of it than I am.
Foods LLC. Is that okay that we talk about that a little bit more?
It's fine if you talk about it.
Okay, okay. So,
I'm not going to tell you not to
I mean,
talk
it was at
about
a public meeting, yeah, so Sugar Foods LLC came to a recent council, that was it, thank you, council meeting, and worked out an abatement, a very good one that everyone was very happy with, limited to what they very much just needed. I think 5-year was it. And kind of talked about their company and how this was quite a few jobs, and that's why they're increasing the passenger car parking area rather than the semi-truck parking area for this structure. Seemed like the jobs were well-paying. They hoped to be long-term partners with Hancock County, was the gist of it. And so I know they left happy from that council meeting.
I don't disagree with the things she said.
Yeah, so essentially we could tie it to this tenant, essentially, and then if there was a different tenant, we just go through it again, essentially. You'd be doing the same thing, so reasonable to me. What about the person that made the motion?
We put this requirement on so many things. Standard and page after page.
Well, that condition of it running with the petitioner, that could.
I wish, I mean, if the petitioner were the provider, it would be a little bit. Always my first question. Are we talking with the tenant, or that's always my first, who we're dealing with?
Well, I represent the owner, who is the petitioner, not the tenant.
Correct, yeah.
Kayla's given a very fine recitation of some events. I would suggest perhaps a way you could form your motion is that it would be a motion to approve with the staff conditions, a motion to approve with the fence condition as described, and perhaps a motion to approve subject to the tenant as described by Kayla, if that's board's preference.
I think he just restated what you said with the exception of the special exception. You still want it to run with the petitioner is your motion.
I got to be able to sell the building if that comes up and not force that new owner to come back through, get another special exception.
For you as a contingency.
I mean, that, yeah.
All right.
But kind of in agreement with you, that's kind of the risk of doing business. You always have that, regardless of who you are and where you're at.
Would it be acceptable if a condition were added that the special exception could be revoked if the property becomes a nuisance or is not in good terms with the public utilities?
Already in my
It
motion.
was in the motion. Yeah.
Okay.
Or I would add to that this board.
Yeah, I read that. The petition.
Yeah.
And I think, would you agree that would cover everything? Or would we still lacking something?
That's that's number 5 of 7 usually.
Yeah.
It's just, it's all, yeah. I mean, they're just standard, we put into all of them. It'd probably good to include these in the future in our,
It doesn't have to be though, because this is so specific to each use on this particular site. So which ones make sense tonight for this use on this site? And I want you guys to be very strategic in what we are asking the petitioners to follow. But in this case, when we looked up why food and beverage facilities might be a concern for local planning offices, what Maria had cited, those fats, oils, and greases, those are primary. What damage potentially could a use like this do to public utilities? Do we have the utilities to serve it? And in this case, that is verified through Aqua and a tap fees receipt. So from my office's perspective, they will follow the expected permitting and review, everything like that. But what I will be looking for most closely on a use like this is that receipt or letter of approval from Jim Shields at Aqua. Because we do have warehouse uses where they were built as warehouses or spec buildings. And if they don't go and tell Aqua, hey, we're changing uses to something that uses a lot of water, has a lot of liquids, then maybe Aqua is misled about that and it gets taken out on our sewer system, which we as a community are using. That's where that is the key thing in this particular situation for planning and zoning, is that we're on good terms with Aqua if this is a use.
Yeah.
Certainly, we wouldn't have any issue with a commitment or condition that any next user, any user that comes to this site, let's say it that way, would have to come up with a permit and an approval letter from Aqua. So if this tenant left after 2 years and a very similar tenant came in, the condition would require that similar tenant to, 1, notify Kayla, and 2, get an approval letter from Aqua. I think that would cover the issue you're worried about.
that was in my motion.
Yeah. Yeah. That
It's
that
the
I think
issue,
was.
the issue is the non-transferability of the petition. That's the
Yeah.
issue I think we're.
Yeah, I mean, if we put that condition in a lot of times, but in reality, it's just kind of there by right. I mean, if a special exception would be tied to the petitioner, so in this case, it's the building owner. So if we're silent on it, that's not ideal to the building owner because they would have a hard time marketing it for sale. So.
I mean, this is a way to get an empty building at least 60% occupied and without going into the details of the negotiations, this particular tenant would have options to occupy the rest of it in a not too long a time period. So that, we think that's a very positive thing. And while they sometimes hold on to buildings for a long time, fully occupied building would be a very attractive asset for a long-term asset holder like an insurance company or a pension fund or something like that. And as long as it was the same tenant, had already gotten the Aqua approval, and you knew they were operating in a good fashion, wouldn't want to have that new owner have to go through the same process to transfer the special exception. I wouldn't have any trouble with the new owner notifying Kayla of the change of ownership, and then if the user changed, then that new user has to, as per motion, would have to come and get that approval letter. We don't have a problem with that. But
I'm fine amending to be silent on the non-transferability. That is probably going to be required. Just a normal reminder. It's more of a reminder to you than a new rule for us. I'm fine staying silent, and a great option might be to transfer exception to the tenant. That's probably the best way to handle it. We're just in an awkward, have really the tenant name. We are in an equally awkward spot that's just the fact of a special exception and how procedural item. That's all.
Yep.
So I'm fine amending just to take out the non-transferability, just the matter of course for a special exception for the.
All right. Does anybody like that amended motion enough to second it?
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded that should the special exception be approved, it'd be subject to the conditions as stated that I hope that you recorded.
Can I clarify one of the special exception, or the number 5, it was what I have as number 5. When you say you're taking out the non-transferability, can you just read that one?
Yeah,
out?
so it will, if the tenant or the user changes, a new Aqua permit will be required with submittal of the tap fees receipt to staff. Just going to stay silent on transferability.
Still have the one, you have this the 1A that's listed in staff conditions, and have that
1B,
all
which
item
is
about
the oil tank.
the item, and then the fence.
Fence.
Special exception if it ceases to exist, if the business ceases for 12 months. And the BZA can revoke if there's a public nuisance, and then the one that you just read.
Track with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Oh, we're voting. We got to vote now.
I said we're voting now.
That was the
That was just the
conditions.
motion.
Yeah.
it feels like it's going to go.
Yeah.
It is. Virtually, it's been
Horrible. Just reminders. Okay, case number 25-2625 for the special exception to allow food production, manufacturing, and distribution in IBP zoning is granted. A vote of 5-0.
All right, thanks for hanging in there with us. Okay, item number 4, J. Singh, Commercial Neighborhood Special Exception, Sugar Creek Township.
That's a good point. Last item on the agenda is a special exception. Petitioner is Jay Singh and David Gilman. The subject property is located on the southeast corner of US 52 and Corral Road. It is located in the Sugar Creek Township in a commercial neighborhood zoning district. The petitioner is requesting a special exception to allow a fueling station. So in your package, you should see a site plan. This is the site plan that the petitioner has provided. The petitioner also has provided some site renderings illustrating the proposed site development of the subject property. The rendering shows the convenience store, gas station, along with the multi-tenant commercial building. So in our land use matrix, a fuel station, gas station, it is in the CN district. It is a special exception. Therefore, they are here tonight requesting that. In our CN district, it states that the intent to provide convenience, goods, services, and amenities with close proximity to residential. And below that, it shows a vicinity map of the zoning of the property. So there is commercial neighborhoods surrounding it, along with some residential zoning as well. So in the nature of this site, we see this being an appropriate use for this location. So for the special exception, the justification that planning staff took into consideration is the location of it. It is right between the county lines of Marion County and Hancock County. This would enhance this area and provide an amenity for people coming into the county. So this is a special exception. So there are conditions that the board may apply and other considerations like landscaping, traffic generation, and other site layouts. And then staff is recommending approval with the following conditions: that the proposed development shall go to a tech committee for the site development review and approval prior to any issuance of permits. The subject property shall be platted as a commercial subdivision and be recorded prior to any issuance of any ILP or building permits. Building permits or ILP related to the special exception must be obtained within the 12-month approval date, and any occupancy permit must be obtained within 12 months of the approval of the permits, or the special exception is automatically expire. And then the final condition is the Board of Zoning Appeals reserves the right to revoke the special exception if this proves to be a public nuisance.
Questions for the staff? Nothing? All right, thanks. We'll have the petitioner come up.
Same thing.
Can we just the arrows, this one?
Affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth.
I do.
State your name, spell your last name.
Thank you. For the record, my name is David Gilman. My address is 211 South Ritter Avenue, Suite H, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46219. I represent Jay Singh. Jay is the petitioner, and he's the owner, and he'll be the developer for the fuel station. Just to kind of let that be known up front. So this property is, the special exception is to allow a service station. The property's already zoned CN. Mr. Singh is buying a larger tract of land, and on this corner, the southeast corner of Carroll Road in US 52 is where he has it marked for a fueling station. We do have other renderings and drawings that I'll present to you that shows a little bit more of the development, so you get a big picture. Right now, This area is sort of right in the middle between New Powell and Post Road. 3 miles to New Powell, 3.5 miles to Post Road. So you have the fields of Grassy Creek that's developing immediately to the south. So it's a logical trend of development to see this type of neighborhood type commercial uses follow the rooftops that are being developed in the area. The site's 3.5 miles to Post Road. The other fuel stations, just to give you perspective. The nearest fuel station is 3.5 miles on Post Road, 3 miles to New Powell to the east, 5 miles north to the new Wawa at US 40 and 600 west, and then 7 miles or more down to I-74 to the south. The fuel station will have a convenience store that serves both cold and hot foods. Would be about 4,500 square feet. It would have 6 pumps. The next slide is, this is a site plan which depicts what it will be in phase 1. Phase 1 will include the fuel station right on the corner, and then about a 16,500 square foot multi-tenant retail center. Both of these would be, as staff mentioned in their conditions of approval, would be subject to commercial plating and TAC review. And should we receive our special exception tonight, we already have started a lot of our preliminary engineering to make sure that we have all the necessary utilities lined up for the development that can support this development. And we would anticipate finalizing that civil design work to submit to the TAC review and the Plan Commission between November and December of this year. Construction would hopefully begin as early as possible in 2026. The one thing that we did a little bit beyond and above is we've given you several renderings. I have about 14 that I presented to the staff for their file. We picked about 4 or 5 that sort of would give you an idea of what this is going to look like in the first phase that you'll see under construction next year. My client is investing right around $8 to $10 million on this corner. We wanted to make sure that what we established out there set a good precedent, and we do have other outlots that'll be developed, and we want to make sure that this sets the precedent to have high quality end users on those outlots. We will have a private road that will service all of our property. We would have that from Carroll Road going back out to 52, and we have already been in contact with both NDOT on our access road, our drive permits, our drainage, and so far we've received positive feedback, and we feel that we could easily comply with their design criteria. This is another perspective of the site, just looking southeast direction. The one thing that we did talk to staff that they were concerned about is the canopies, so we wanted to make sure that the canopy was as attractive as possible. So we have all masonry columns that will match the brick on the building. We have a thinner, sleek type canopy so that it doesn't, it's not the most focal point right there on that corner. And again, there'll be plenty of landscaping throughout the property on both street frontages. We have a variety of materials on the building. We have masonry, metal panels, and window treatment on 3 of the 4 sides of the building. The one thing, we add this view to the back, since we will have outlots facing the back. All 4 sides of the building are finished with masonry product. And again, we will screen our mechanicals and to make sure that the back is as attractive as the sides or the fronts. There's just a closer perspective of what it would look like from the rear as you enter off our private drive.
2 minutes.
Thank you. I do have our design criteria, or I'm sorry, decision criteria. We feel that we've met every one of them. I can go through those on an individual basis, but they are included in your packets. If you would have any questions, I'd be glad to answer any one of those. But as the staff mentioned, I think this is a use that's appropriate for this corner. It fits the area. I think the commitments that we've made will ensure that it's a high-quality development. And again, my client will be the owner and petitioner, so we would hope that this would be an issue that, as far as his ability to continue to use this as a fuel station and/or another owner use it as a fuel station would not be an issue. But with that, I'm happy to answer questions that board members would have.
So you're saying that you want the special exception to be tied to the ground. You don't want it tied to the petitioner, just like our last case where we were.
Just be silent on it, I guess, is my only recommendation. And the reason I would say that is this is a fuel station. It's not like we're going to get another user that would be any different. It's going to be a fuel station, whether it's a BP, a Shell, or, a Wawa. It's still going to be a fuel station. If they wanted to make changes to it, they obviously have to come in and get those permits to make the modifications or changes. After listening to the last two, there's something that I think would work, and it might be something that I would offer is that the change of ownership would have to come in and get a zoning endorsement letter just to make sure that the new user, the new owner, is in compliance and knowledgeable of all the conditions of the special exception approval. It's almost like constructive notice. This is how it was approved. Here's your zoning endorsement letter, so you know this is exactly the requirements that you'll need to comply with. Or some type of, I don't know, I would just call it a zoning endorsement letter. That's very common for businesses and owners when they do change ownerships. They often come to the planning and building departments to get that endorsement so that they feel comfortable that that use is appropriate and permitted.
So we don't know what the flag is or whatever, what type of convenient, we don't know if it's a speedway.
We do, yes, I can tell you that it will be a BP. My client, that is correct, Jay, right? You're going with the BP here?
That is correct.
Yeah.
So that it really won't look like this. It'll be green and white and lit up like crazy then. So,
I'm not seeing what you're looking at here.
Whatever's on the screen here, yeah.
The red.
Oh,
no,
no.
That's the retail building.
Yeah, so what's happening in this industry, the BP, Shell, whoever brand that you're using, they only care about the canopy and the sign and the pumps. You can build the Taj Mahal store as long as they can advertise on the canopy, the pumps, and the sign. And so that's why you're starting to see these customized filling stations that have very nice looking buildings because they're allowed to do that, as opposed to back in the day when the entire property had to be advertised for that brand all over the place. It's not like that anymore.
I didn't catch what you were saying about these curb cuts off of 52. I mean, that surprised me when I saw the site plan that you had two cuts off of 52. I mean, they are strict on that.
Yes. We've submitted to NDOT, both for our initial review on the site plan for the access and for the drainage along 52. And again, they've given us their design criteria. The only thing that they wanted to make sure of on the access drives was a distance of separation, and we've met that distance requirement, and that's the only thing that they've asked of us.
A new, softer, kinder, gentler NDOT.
Staff has one comment here. We do have a meeting set up with NDOT Greenfield office to discuss this particular drive setup to make sure we're all okay. And also, this would go to the technical committee where the highway department would review at least what was in the jurisdiction of the county.
Did you have any discussions, like, we had that one project up on Mount Comfort Road where you worked with the petitioner and got them to rotate the site plan so that the canopy wasn't the front face of the project?
We did discuss that briefly. I'll let Mr. Gilman talk about that.
Yeah, that won't work. Again, when I mention that they'll allow you to do a lot of things with the building, but they want that canopy to advertise their brand because they're in the business of selling fuel, BP, Shell, whoever it may be. They need that exposure on that traveled US 52. But in respect to that comment, because Kayla and I had that discussion, we went through to make the canopy. Normally, the BP canopies that you see, the green and yellows, they're 33 inches. This is only going to be 19 inches. And there's not going to be a large BP logo. There's going to be the BP emblem that is embossed on the sign. And then we did the all brick masonry columns to make it sleek and match the building. And we did that again so it was more customized so that wouldn't be the most thing that caught your eye as you drove by was the canopy.
Previously, when we've seen fueling stations come in front of the BZA, we've seen returning requests for other variances or special exceptions for signage, or do you anticipate that you're going to be back here for anything that, after you've gone through this?
I don't, and here's why. This is undeveloped property. The way I look at it, it's a clean canvas. We shouldn't have to meet any design criteria. The only criteria, and again, Kayla and I will probably have this conversation, and it probably will not be an issue, it would be the BP sign, because I think we're going to go with ground signs, one on Carroll and one on US 52. We show a pylon sign, but I wanted to make that very clear. You're not approving a pylon sign. It just happens to be the one my architect picked and he put on the drawings, but do not
That's my ask.
Yeah, do not in any way feel that you are approving that. Kayla's already red flagged that to me, and I just didn't have time to take it off before the hearing. But no, the only thing we're asking you to approve is the special exception for the fuel station. And in my decision criteria, I did mention that one of the reasons I think we meet all the criteria is that we will meet those development standards in the CN that the ordinance would require of us for landscaping, access, parking, et cetera.
Did we already ask you if you were okay with the 4 staff recommendations for conditions?
You haven't, but we are.
Sometimes we say that the presentation of the plan, or the final product must be in substantial conformance to the plans presented, with the exception of the sign.
And that's perfectly acceptable.
And if it ceases to operate over a 12-month period, the special exception will automatically.
Yeah. And the reason we went a little bit extra to provide you the renderings is we wanted to show you that this is going to be super nice. You'll really be proud of this when you get out there, because we have my client has a huge investment in other outlots, and we got to get off to a really great start. We got a brand new subdivision to the south. We hope that we're going to get a lot of those homeowners and families as our customers in that retail center. We'd like to get, a little restaurant in there, a lot of little things that will support the neighborhood. And again, we're right in the middle between New Pal and Indy, so we're in a really good spot, in our opinion.
One other one would be we reserve the right at the BZA to modify or revoke the special exception if it constitutes a public nuisance at an advertised public hearing.
Yes.
And I did miss the transfer request that we stay silent on it. We don't have a process right now to have a validation of that in the future. Staying silent might allow you to activate that.
Fair enough.
Okay, any more questions for the petitioner? Does your client own the BP station at Post Road as well?
No.
No.
That's a good question, because I live near there, and that's not one of my favorites. Sorry.
People don't go there, they're scared of it, so.
Yeah. So, but my client does have other BP stations in retail centers in their first class. That's why we obviously are very comfortable sharing what we did with you tonight.
What would be some of those facilities? Where are those at? You want to come up and get sworn in?
Actually, I think I know where one's at.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing?
I do.
Spell your last name for the record, please.
First name Jay, last name Singh, S-I-N-G-H.
Couldn't answer.
So,
No, go ahead, Jay.
so I own about 27 C-stores, gas stations, and all around the city, as well as in Louisville, Kentucky. And very recently, we're the first one to end up buying a Thornton gas station right in Louisville. So in the process of renovating, so they do trust us. We do have several stores. We have stores in Zionsville. We just recently opened, and it's a BP gas station. Other than that, we have a gas station right south of Lucas Oil Stadium. It's Weston Morris, and we have several stores. It's on 65, Highway 65. And if you travel 65 down south, like I have a Good Oil company, Good To Go stores, and they are family-owned business since 1947, and we are partners, and they will be my jobbers, my fuel jobbers, and we will be naming this a Good To Go as well. So everybody can use, their like loyalty program and all that stuff.
All right, thank you. Any more questions? No? All right, thank you for the petition. Do we have anybody that wants to speak in opposition to this petition? Nobody? All right. Any discussion amongst the board for conditions and the like?
Should this motion, or should this special exception be approved, all staff recommendations on conditions will accompany, and then add 4. Number 5 would be the final product as constructed will be in substantial conformance to the plans as presented tonight, with the exception of anything that has not been approved by technical committee or transportation, such as signage. Number 6, if the site ceases to operate under the approval of the special exception, it will automatically expire, and that would be ceases to operate for 12 consecutive months. And the BZA reserves the right to modify or revoke the special exception if the site constitutes a public nuisance, and that would occur at an advertised public hearing. 7.
Right.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded that should the special exception be approved, it be subject to the stated conditions. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We can vote.
Okay, case number 25-2626 for the special exception to allow a fueling station in CN zoning. The special exception is granted, a vote of 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for hanging with us all evening. Okay, I had an agenda somewhere. All right, that's concludes all of our petition items for this evening. We'll move on to other business. Item number 1 was the election of officers. That's really officer. It would be for the position of vice president.
Should we quickly announce Jason now that he's left the room? Just kidding.
I thought we were going to hold off on that.
We can. That's what we were talking about that earlier, is the Plan Commission decided, they've got the same situation, and they've decided to wait another month. That was mostly because they didn't have a full board, but also because we're so close to the end of the year, and we could just do it all at once then. So Yeah, if for some reason I wasn't here, you would just have to appoint a president, acting president for that meeting, which is Jason, yeah. So yeah, so if you want to, if somebody wants to make a motion to just, we'll just limp along until January, we can do that. It's what,
Make a
2 more
motion
meetings?
To appoint, should we wait for Jason to come back? I would make a motion to appoint the vice president if needed at a meeting, as well as the president if needed.
Sounds reasonable. Okay. Moved and seconded to, as stated, to appoint as needed for the next 2 remaining meetings of the year. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Deals with that. Item number 2 is alternate members rule change. Mr. Vice President.
That's fine. I accept.
So this can't be adopted tonight because you need to look at it one more time, wait 30 days. So if you're okay with what it says now, then it can be adopted or effective in 30 days. So based on the last meeting, I tried to incorporate changes to make some of this wording more clear. So let me just kind of go through. I noticed that we had defined the word board, and sometimes it was referred to in the document as Board of Appeals or Board of Zoning Appeals. So you'll see a strike through. We had already defined the word as board to mean this board. And then top of page 3, there was a code revision, so I updated that code site. This is all just cleanup. The statute actually refers to the term chair and vice chair. I think at some point it probably said chairman and vice chairman, and then they went through the statute at some point and made that just chair and vice chair. So I took out the word president if it was present, which is the chair, cleaned that up. And then the language on page 3 and 4 is really the change, which was discussed at the last meeting. Should a vacancy arise mid-year for the chair, vice chair, or secretary, the board may elect a replacement from one of its members at any regular or special meeting after duly posting the election as an item on the board's agenda for the meeting. That was something that you wanted, if we were going to go through the procedure of making sure that was on the agenda, that it was also in the rules that that item go on the agenda first. Number 6 is if at any time there is a temporary vacancy, absence, or recusal of an officer, the board may appoint another member to serve in the role of the officer who is not present or who has been recused for the duration needed. That kind of goes to what you just adopted, a fill-in person for that night. And then the language on page 4, number 8, just tried to clean this up a little bit. So what's in red was what you saw last meeting, and then I added what was in green. So just rewording this to make it a little more clear, Indiana Code 3674907A allows each authority that appoints a member to the board, which that could be the commissioners, just depending on who makes the appointment to this board, to also appoint an alternate member to participate with the board in any hearing or decision if the regular member it has appointed has a disqualification under Indiana Code 3674909. That would be when someone wants to recuse themselves because of a conflict of interest, or is otherwise unavailable to participate in the hearing or decision. Should the appointing authority appoint an alternate member and the alternate member is called to serve on the board, the alternate member shall have all of the powers and duties of the regular member while participating in the hearing or decision. And then we decided to strike that last line when we were discussing whether the alternate member should serve as the chair or vice chair. We just decided to stay silent on that. I think that recaptures what you were after last meeting. So if this looks good, then it can be approved tonight and then go into effect in 30 days.
Make a motion, we approve new rules.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the new rules as presented. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We'll sign it in 30 days, or do you want a signed copy tonight? Or we don't have a vice chair, so.
Well, you
You're
said I
not really-
was.
You're actually not. We decided that we were going to make it without one for.
Okay. I didn't care one way or the other.
So if we got to sign it, we'll have to appoint a vice chair.
Yeah. So do we want to?
Wait until next. Wait until
Okay.
next.
Okay.
So let's put election of an officer on next meeting's minute or agenda then.
Yeah. We'll appoint somebody at the beginning.
There's also a provision in here now that says that you can appoint one as needed. So it would be whoever was appointed for that night.
Yep.
If it's,
Yeah. We will do that then. So looking at our short agenda at 5 minutes till 10, we just have zoning violations report. Let us have it, man.
See, we were enthusiastic tonight.
That second one. Confusing. Kind of
Yeah.
lost sight there for a while, what we were really trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I think the petitioner was too. All right, sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to be very brief. We just have 26 open violations, most of which are ILP violations, and most of which occur in Greenfield. A recurring theme is most of the violators are feigning ignorance on the violations, perhaps because Dollar is no longer around. I'm the new guy. So I'm trying to establish rapport and suggesting we give some of them, most of them, extensions to bring their property into compliance. And then after, say, a month, I think that's ample time. If their properties are not in compliance, then you can slap them with as high or as aggressive action as we want to.
Okay. I assume there's a list. I assume that you've got a list of all of these?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, that sounds good to me.
So the biggest thing I learned doing your job is fair, firm, and consistent.
All right. Any questions for Dennis? Nope.
Yeah, Dennis, so if you've got somebody that say they can't get compliant in 30 days, but you know they're making progress, is that acceptable to you? Because
I think it would be on a case-by-case basis. If they are showing genuine interest in complying, then perhaps. But like, it will be on a case-by-case basis. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, thanks for the report and the easy-to-read document.
So I just maybe have one request for future conditions. If staff could reference the typical conditions for approval and incorporate what you might want to. That's really important that it's disclosed and discussed with the applicants before. I think it's just going to hold us up. And they're typical, we put them on so many things. It's just good to see them back into staff conditions. Make it much easier.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, it'd make us move a little quicker, I think, through these, so.
Sure, we can do that.
I mean, I know it's impossible to truly anticipate what all of us are gonna do, but yeah, I think I agree with that.
All right, I think that's all we got. Anybody want to go?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
All right, moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Well, thanks, guys. 10 o'clock, not too bad.